Big up yourself. Welcome
Yay.
back, you guys, to the
Hey,
Secret
what's going
Society of Good
on?
Guys. You have a special episode tonight. I feel like every time I try to Jim Jones, I Alex Jones.
Oh,
So
God.
joining us tonight in the Secret Society of Good Guys. So you're officially a member of the Secret Society of Good Guys. I hope you're ready for this. Michelle from Healing Homes, welcome.
Hi.
Hello,
Thank you for
hello,
having
welcome.
me.
Welcome.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
the
excited
invite,
about this.
the
Well,
initiation.
it it's kind of synchronistic because you're born on a Friday the 13th.
I am. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
What?
dude. January 13th, Friday. And my mom, she's like, she always brings it up. And she's like, I was watching Young and the Restless and I knew I was going into labor and then off to the hospital. And she's like, you were like out. She goes, you wanted out and you were like, let's go. I'm like, whoa, okay. But yeah. So Friday the 13th for me has always been special in that way, but I've learned so much about it, like historically and what the actual meaning could mean too. And so anytime it comes around, I'm just like, dude, sweet. And it's in October. So the veil is thinning, the life is going back to the earth. It's like the death and rebirth cycle. So we're like going into the underworld or the dark side of like the zodiac or dark side of the year, dark side of the moon. Oh,
Well, it is
whatever.
a dark moon tomorrow, or
There
and
you
an
Yeah.
go.
eclipse, and a
Yeah.
solar
eclipse is
eclipse.
tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a lot of whoo
A lot of
energy
stuff going on.
A lot of
going
crazy
on.
shit.
So
What's
happy to
going
be
on in
here.
the sky?
What I
Good
know,
question.
yeah, what I know is that there's apparently, of course, the eclipse, and during the eclipse, I guess Virgo is on the same path as the eclipse, and Virgo is actually going to be birthing the comet child. So it's almost like, and it's that hasn't happened for the last 2,000 years on time. Check. So yes, that's what everyone's kind of like looking at right now, in the skies. But what does it mean? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah,
And we
don't
have a
for-
lunar
don't
eclipse this
forget your
month
shot.
too.
Mm-hmm.
We
Don't
did.
forget your.
There was a lunar one too.
It'll be next because it always starts with a solar eclipse, and then the eclipse season ish like closes with the lunar eclipse. So
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah. Goes along with the 13 too, like the cycles of the moon.
yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't it today Divine Feminine Goddess Day or something like that? The 13th, Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
13 moons and our 13 cycles.
Well, and 13
Yeah.
is affiliated with Sophia, the Christos Sophia. So
Oh,
Yes.
well, delve
so
right
it's all
into
divine
that.
feminine. Yeah.
Yes.
Dive right into
Totally.
that divine feminine.
Primordial. Yeah, man.
Well, all I
Who
know.
doesn't want to? I mean, one, come all. It's like we all came from, will return to kind of thing. It feels like, That's why I think it's interesting of Friday the 13th, like what of course, they'd love to invert this one. I mean, this one is potent. We're talking like origin of us, of where we are, like Mother Earth kind of goddess, original goddess, demiurge, Sophia kind of thing. Like that is like within all of our cores, as is the male too, both sides. But I find it interesting that they would choose to invert Friday the 13th. Now it's like, oh, be scared, be weak, stay away. Like it's like scream, run. You're not strong enough to fight the monster. Run away. Like, and they always run up to a bedroom and it's like, where are you going? Everyone knows.
Don't
It's
go
funny.
upstairs.
It's almost as if
I
like
am
they
that
know.
person.
You could make an argument.
I am
for-
100% that person. I will just tell you guys in life, I'm the person
I think we
that
all
will
are.
always, like, if there's people and people are like, oh my gosh, what was that noise outside? I'll go look of the people there. And I think people of my friends will be like, Chaney, go look.
Ah.
Unless it's like a creepy little animal, like a coral snake, I'll go look. But otherwise, I'll call like my buddy. I need like a Florida man around with a machete.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is almost like, I'm talking about the divine goddess energy part of it. But it's almost like now with how the moon is, and going into the new moon, and the black moon, and us being the womb, the matrix. We are a matrix, each and every single one of us. So it's almost like that's why I feel very sensitive and very foggy today, because I know this. I am highly sensitive with moon energy and different cycles, but I really feel it connects something with our womb and this solar eclipse, hence virgin and child being born. I feel like our portal site kind of connect, like it opens up and you connect. It's more of a pure, intense connection, but that's just my view and thought on it. But that's how I feel. It's like something opens up in a woman, and it's like you feel everything. Like, I don't know.
I think the veil is really thin. I
Yeah.
think the 13th, it being extra, I think it might be a sign of bad luck now, because if we had a pure moon cycle or something, it might be an ovulation day. And so I think it has a lot to do with like an egg. It's weird that there's like a no moon and all this representation with Venus and then with Freya. So then we also have Freya Day, the 13th, and Mary. So you love Freya? Go in, Michelle.
I do.
Tell,
I
feel
totally
free.
do. Oh, dude, yeah, that's one of the things I think of with Fridays, Freya's Day. That's another way of looking
Frigg.
at it too. Yeah, Frigg and Freya. Some will say they're the same. I look at them as different archetypes. I think Frigg is more of like the mother.
Uh-huh.
She is the vulva. She's like the seeress. So she is casting out into, and she's walking between the realms and journeying between the realms and connecting with spirit. And there's like there's more of a maiden energy, I think, with Freya too, because there's more of a passion, like Venus, like Vixen kind of. She's younger and she has like she's pulled by cats. She has a carriage and she has like 3 cats that pull her. That's
Would
part
they
of the
say
myth.
maybe that is why you wouldn't want a black cat to cross your path on Friday the 13th?
Oh, as a connection to
Yeah,
Freya.
because if you crossed in front of her, then Freya was going by, like the goddess and her black cats.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
Ah,
Every day on my calendar I cross off. Every day, unless I clean the litter box, and then I put a cat face. So today I actually, instead of having a black cat cross my path, I used the black cat to cross off Friday the 13th.
I like that.
It was odd. I was just looking at it while I was doing it, and I was like, huh. And it made me look into, like, I wonder why black cat, but I never got there. But now that you're saying Freya was pulled by cats, it makes sense that they would put this thing together with her. I also think this would be her saying, if it was Frigg, because I was doing some research on Frigg, the idea, and she is the goddess of like fertility and war. And everyone's like, how can that be? And this would be her album name, All's Fair in Love and War. So then it was making me think of All's Fair, All's Frigg in Love and War, All's Freya in Love and War. It's not fair, but fair would be All's Libra in Love and War. So then we just are falling out of Libra season before we're heading into Scorpio at Friday the 13th. Because Libra would be the fair. She would be the scales version of like that idea. So it's just like, love and war, they kind of do go together. And it is this, like, we see the only way they can evoke us into war, or like
Passion.
love.
Yeah.
Because passion is both.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like death and rebirth in war or something like that. I feel like a person could be reborn even being in battle, and like they might learn something about themselves that makes them transcend to the next level, and and then it's like life, and then there's death, and the soldier next to him like dies, but they make it out, and then they transmute the energy that they, the lesson they learned there or something like that. So I can totally see it being related, like for sure.
So then it's like we have this moon energy, which a lot of people theorize is a heavy feminine energy. We have this Freya or Frigg energy, energy on Friday and the 13th of it all. And then we have this like the new moon coming in, the about to be eclipse. So you're about to actually get rid of the sun energy, which would be like you're just closing. It's about to be just like such a feminine egg.
Wow, that's such a great point. I have to write that down. Yeah. That's good, Chaney. That's a great point.
I love these rooms,
yes.
man. This is
Taking out the sun.
already, man.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is awesome.
I knew Friday the 13th was going to be a good one. We're not even into the killers yet. But
No.
it's interesting that in this day, they try to link it all to death, murder, kill, all this bloody stuff. And it is a bloody ritual, but it's birth, it's fertility, it's something different.
Bingo. Fuck yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, totally. That's totally what it is. It's sacrifice, you know. Dude, I'll put you in the what is it? I've brought you into the world, I can take you out sort of thing. Like it's the dark mother and it's the light mother, you know? It's the mother you remember bringing you soup when you didn't feel good, or just touching you when you didn't feel good for maybe a second, and hopefully that happened, you know? It's just like at least. And so that feeling, that to me is like 13th. That's Frigg and Freya and all of it, you know. It's really interesting. I'm like totally losing my train of thought, but that's what I wanted to get out.
No,
for sure.
it's even making me think like everything going on right now in the Middle East. And they say like the reason that this land is so holy for a lot of people, like it's holy on both sides, like Muslims on one side, Jews on the other side, and then kind of like Christians around there too, because they say when Christ comes back, he's going to come back there, like on Mount Olive. So then there's like this wall. It's almost like this area between this divide is almost like a womb. And then here we are coming up on this day. We have this sacrifice where this 33 number keeps coming in. And then I believe it was Summer earlier today where we were talking about Maui and like what chakra of the planet is Maui. And then I have a friend that lives in Shasta, and we always talk about Shasta as a chakra part of the planet. I wonder what Jerusalem chakra is. Is it our solar? Is it our like womb? Is it our like what is that? And that's interesting just in that moment. Like, where's your solar plexus chakra? Where's that one?
The solar plexus, yeah, the belly button.
Isn't that so weird? Solar, soul, the sun out of, and look where it is. That's a weird place for our chakra to be if this is our Christ. Just saying. I'm just having that right in the second.
It's more sexual energy, I think, the sun is even, and I think that's kind of speaking to that, like more of the core and the warmth. Like, I don't know, I just think about how important our cores are, and like just how important it is to just have a strong core, like enough to like support yourself to do, you know, motions and movements healthily and stuff like that. And so to me, that energy, it would make sense that the sun would be there because it's so radiant. You want it to be radiating and like have warmth there. At least that's how I feel about it. So makes sense.
So, but isn't
very
it interesting?
Leo-ish too, which is the sun.
So isn't it
encouraged?
Yeah, isn't it totally interesting that how they went from sun worship to now all about the moon and moon symbology and moon symbology and everything, from Moses to the flags to everything that's going on. It's like, where did the shift happen? Why did it go from sun to moon? It was sun worship to moon worship. Is there a change there for a reason? Are we supposed to connect more with the moon? Is the moon a loosh? Are we supposed to connect with the sun more? What is it? You know,
you're actually blowing my mind in this moment because I always study flag magic and I always like look at like St. George. The other thing I always look at is the crescent, because we have the Turkish crescent all over everything. And just in this moment, because I've always thought waning or waxing with the, like, what am I looking at? And I've always done all these studies. Just in this second, I'm like, it's an eclipse. The Turkish crescent's an eclipse. So then you also see the red cross symbolism on everything in the moment. Right now, the version of the red cross in the Middle East is the red crescent.
Holy shit.
Wow.
So what is that? Is it a holy union? Is this a holy union that's happening right now with the Virgin, with Virgo and child comet being born and the freaking solar eclipse all happening all at once? Is this some kind of like reboot? Like, what is
Something
going
that's
on?
happening.
Here's a wild thing. If the lore of Sophia is true and she jumps without her twin, and there's always been imbalance on the entire planet because it's always been her with Yaldabaoth, then you wonder, is something about to give birth? Is the Holy Mother and the Holy Father about to allow her twin to jump with her? Is that what we are about to see? Like, where it's actually this huge feminine, so we're about to get our appropriate
Iris
masculine.
Gamos.
Yeah,
So
wild.
the marriage of the divine masculine and feminine, Hyros Gamos is what it's called.
Yeah, Sophia's never had her divine twin here. So every recreation of every story that's ever been for every religious book has always been her trying to define and find her divine twin. And they say versions of that have been done, but the whole of us always lose. We only worship the masculine. So we lose the like full weight of
That's the
honoring
problem. Going
feminine.
back to the whole 13 of it all is that we honor in ourselves even the masculine. So we don't have Hyros Gamos within ourselves. And so several of us, many of us in this community, especially who are trying to work on balancing our masculine and feminine sides, we're bringing Hyros Gamos into ourselves. And as we do that, I mean, maybe the 100 monkey thing, we're anchoring it so that way the masculine, divine masculine can be here, not the distorted version.
I think that's the best thing Dr. Fauci's ever said.
For real. Did you get your new COVID shot? I hope you
The
did.
new
'Cause
boost
I did.
is good.
I did.
It works. It really
How you
works.
guys feeling? You
Fucking
feeling all
works.
right?
I was
mean-
I just like
actually
to
just
say-
thinking in the
All
moment,
right.
we're all dressed as dudes.
That's hilarious.
We're
Having
talking about
this,
the goddess.
yeah, we totally
That's great.
transmuted it.
Hey, hell yeah, Gordy. Nice.
I like my divine masculine. My divine masculine is
I
really
love
gay,
this.
I
though.
love my divine
We
masculine.
don't have this conversation, so I love being part of this. This is awesome. Oh,
Every
by the
time I
way,
have a divine
the-
masculine dream, he's homosexual as fuck. Very masculine, but very
Really?
into men. Yes. And my
My
divine
divine
feminine. She's
my divine
lesbian.
masculine is such a pussy house.
Wow.
I just wanted to do a
My divine
but-
feminine really is like, pay attention. And my divine feminine always has to remind me that my lady friends are ladies,
My
like
divine,
inside my brain.
my divine
Ah.
masculine is very Sparta.
I can kind of relate to
300.
that, actually. For sure.
This is Sparta.
Lady. This is Sparta. You're all about a moon door.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Honestly, we gotta get
If
pulled.
Layla won the mega power lotto, she would put a moon door in her mansion.
Yeah, I would. I would. Oh, man.
Why do outhouses have moons on them?
Because
Moons
the
and
moon
stars.
comes out and you set your moon on the seat.
Oh, okay.
It's the full
That's a
moon,
good
baby.
question.
I don't know why they do a crescent.
Why do they call it mooning people?
Moonshine. Hey.
Because your butt's usually white, like the moon. I don't know.
It comes out like a full moon.
That's
If
another.
you have butt acne, it's got craters.
Interesting.
I don't know what moon you're looking at.
This one's deep.
Clearly not mine. Mine's all over Instagram.
Oh, no,
and
not
it doesn't have
yours.
craters.
Clearly,
You got a beautiful
Clearly.
not yours.
Get suckers.
You have no idea what that's like.
It's pretty. It's
I have a good
intimidating
imagination,
for me.
though.
That is intimidating.
It made me think, like, I don't know if you've
Feeling
seen
furious.
like, I think it's like Scent of a Woman, and he's like, great ass.
And that's like the best compliment, man. It's like people don't realize I've worked my ass off for it. So when somebody says that to me, it's like,
Literally.
you are awesome. Thank you. don't.
This Dr. Felgy has a great ass.
Oh, that makes me feel like we need to do meme magic.
Okay, this is the first part of
Oh.
it. I'll make you guys drink the flavor aid.
Oh my God. Provides vitamin
great.
C.
Because that is the actual drink that anyone that thinks you drink the Kool-Aid at Jonestown, it is not
It's
true.
Flavor
Flavor
aid.
Hold on. We have a visitor, but
Yeah.
make sure your emails are bleached.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hey, Hill. How's it going?
We came, we saw. I can't remember the last part. We killed them.
Oh my
Frazzle
God. We came, we saw.
Hitler.
Shame on me. Fool me
Yeah.
once.
Fool me once. You can't get me again.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome. I'm so
Happy
excited
Friday.
you're
Happy
here.
Friday well, I guess it's actually Saturday now. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Still
Oh,
Friday
yeah.
the 13th, because if you feel like it, since it's Friday the 13th, you have a big drop today.
Oh my God, I forgot. Today's been wild. Yeah, I just dropped. I started the Frazzle Drip Funhouse Indiegogo backer for my latest comic book. It's a B horror movie love letter, and it takes place in the basement of a arcade / pizza place.
Do you have any little
Dude,
video or
nice.
anything?
I do. I'll have to pull it up here. Can you play video on here, or do
Yeah.
I share my
you can
screen and do the video? or-
I totally can play video. I'm figuring
Okay.
everything out.
Dude, sweet. That's
You're
so
awesome.
such a good feeling to like accomplish a goal like that when you set out to do a project and you're like, fuck yeah. Here it is. It's going out.
It's working.
Congrats. That's
It's like
awesome.
being really constipated for a long time, like 2
Yeah.
years.
Dude, hell yeah.
Agreed.
And you get to launch it in your HRC costume, man.
That's right.
It's perfect.
It's actually an
Oh, it's
autobiography
perfect.
of me, Hillary.
All you need is the Frazzle Drip mask, you know?
It's called, and I could have had like some hot sauce or something. Yeah. I mean, it's not even Halloween yet. We're just getting warmed up.
And a walnut for the pineal gland. A walnut.
Those can all be
Walnut
different
sauce.
shows.
Thomas, do you have any Uncle Ted merch? Like self-addressed
I don't have Uncle Ted
boxes
merch,
or-
but
Christmas is coming. Get your priority boxes.
I've been working on these guys. These are
Zoom
my
in
Hunter
on
Biden party
this.
packs.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like,
There you go.
They're all a little bit different. So like this one's got a cigarette in it. It's got some beer. It's got like a little dime bag of like I don't even know. There's some white powder in some of these. This one's got some little like panties in the back.
Not
Wow.
me. Let me
Little-
zoom in on Paranoid American.
And then I've got one with it's got like a gun. There's like a gun in there, another cigarette, some beer. And it's got these little nepotism facts on the back. It's
Those
fun.
are
It's
so
super fun.
dope.
And shout out to
So awesome.
Maria.
My
And she-
Maria.
yeah, Maria, thank you so much. She gave some definitely some solicited advice. There is no hypothetical case where I would advise you to sell paraphernalia over state lines. If you were asking me, which you are not, the original question was maybe could I put a crack pipe in here and call that art? But maybe not. Maybe you can't. So I didn't do it. I might take a couple like promo pics
Glass
with that
tubes.
in there, but yeah.
Yeah. It's
Dope.
pretty friggin' amazing.
Super dope.
I'm so excited.
It's a
So
great
dope.
it's a great stocking stuffer for the holidays, you know, just like a little like gag gift for the holidays. So think about that, you know.
What about baking soda and copper Brillo pads?
I'm telling you, I'm gonna see how far I can push it, but I also don't want to end up in jail.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you can get a lot of things through the mail. I'm just saying.
Until that one day. Until the one day when like
Yeah.
they come to
You
the
just gotta
door.
be, you gotta be clever about it where you drop the shit off. I'm just saying,
Am I frozen? I'm frozen, aren't I?
No, you're not.
No,
No,
you're not.
you're not.
Okay. Okay. I'm frozen on my end, so it doesn't matter. It's okay. Let me put my booster. Let me just get my booster real quick.
So if we're on killers finally, speaking of Hillary, and
Dude, that's
So, what are you
so
launching
funny.
those mosquitoes, Billy?
I
Yeah,
don't know. It's
Bill.
just a conspiracy. I don't know why anyone thinks I would want to do anything like that. I mean, people even blame me for vaccine injuries. I don't get it. I'm here to help people, but I want to depopulate the world. You know, how else should I do it? So, yeah, get your booster, people. Get your booster.
He doesn't sound nearly that intimidating.
No, it doesn't. That's Fauci. I don't know why the Fauci's coming out.
I'll show you guys. Since Layla's Bill Gates, you can go to projectshady.com and you can get your fuck Bill Gates sweatshirt now.
I'm not a killer. I'm
Ooh.
not a killer. All right. I'm not a killer.
It has a mosquito and a mask and a needle and a microchip. It used to say eugenics underneath it, but I put my website instead. Because
Does it come with an actual microchip?
I am not at liberty to say. And see, this is red Kool-Aid, which it was harder to find purple Flavor Aid than you think. This was like a whole journey I had to go on today.
So is that Kool-Aid or Flavor Aid then?
I'm gonna be real honest with you. This is neither. This is red Mexican soda.
Even better.
Doritos?
Because I also wanted to bring up in the killer episode
Red
Red
40.
40.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a great one.
Well, so that new artificial cyanide just doesn't have the same hit as that Mexican
know.
cyanide.
You know, the old school stuff. That was the good stuff.
I like to
Right?
keep my sugar with a cane, just like I like to beat my people who steal from my stores. That's what happens in Ghana. Ghana.
You call whatever you want. You own it.
Guyana.
I can't tell you where I'm at right now. I almost gave away.
Yeah, keep it hush hush.
I'm in
Yeah.
an undisclosed location.
Right.
Which island is that?
You know, I know what you mean. You just disappear, and
See,
it's very
besides
tempting.
Michelle, you're maybe the most righteous person in the room.
I know. But he hasn't read Uncle Ted's manifesto. I suggest some reading material. He was maybe a little ahead of his time. So go ahead,
And I think
fill yourself with that.
I would also say
This stuff is gonna go bad.
lowest body count,
What was
Huh?
his body count? Like
like
4?
1 or 2. Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing.
maybe 4. Like 2 killed, 2 injured.
Yeah.
Okay, you just brought up the word or the phrase body count. So can we discuss this for a second? Because I just had this discussion with my daughters today. You know that's what like they call that now. Like how many people you slept with? What's your body
Yeah.
count? I hate
There's
that.
there's a whole
I hate it.
podcast
Yeah. Oh,
system
yeah.
on it.
Whoa.
What's your body count? And it's like,
Oh.
just stop, please.
There's 2
Yikes.
sides. There's this lady who I love who talks about body count doesn't matter. And then there's this other side is like, yeah, body count matters. You're a whore. And it's just like back and forth.
But
Hold on. How does that make
Dr. Fauci doesn't even like the term body count for sleeping with someone. She's not even the debating whore or not
COVID.
whore.
It's just COVID. COVID-19.
how does it make you a whore? I'm pretty sure my body count's pretty long. It's
Is
not
that-
like 40 or 50 at this point, right?
I
Vince
mean,
Foster
I'm-
and
I
That sounds-
mean,
See,
That sounds like one of
you're-
those things that was added into culture to like distract from the actual somebody looking up body counts of certain things.
Oh, that's a great point.
I don't see how they see it as that. It's like more men. It's like, you know, these podcasters, these Tates, you know, these Andrew Tates and all that. They just go on these podcasts to gain views, get their ego stroked. Body count matters, and then they said
Up your
to the
rubber
guys, but
or
you
Layla, I think you
know,
turned off or something.
It's like breaking up just a bit.
It's always one of us.
I don't know.
Okay, you're good now. It
I'll
was
come
just
back.
for a minute or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
what the hell?
yeah.
It's got a little lag.
It's like rubber banding for a minute. And you
I don't know why, guys.
you can't vibe too high. And you're on you might have to go out and come back in. I don't know.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, because you're on a display. So, yeah, but I feel like the kids nowadays, you can only use the term body count if you killed it.
That's what
And
I
not
told my
too
daughter,
many
she's like,
people are killing it. Let's be real.
right.
Let's
I
be
mean,
real. You ain't killing it.
One of us is
Exactly.
killing it, and it's actually named after me, the Clinton body count.
Nice.
I think you're not only killing it, but then you, like, by proxy, you could put a lot more bodies under you than just the ones that we might be able to find that worked for you or knew you as a friend, or like, like you came, you saw, you died.
That was the quote. There it is.
What was Body Count's song? The Ice-T's band. Body Count.
F the Thin Blue Line, I think. I don't know. I'm not. I tried to say it like in code, and then it sounded even worse.
I know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about. Would that get pulled?
Oh my gosh, that doesn't even happen here. This is a magic land where things like that don't happen, and we just say the word adrenochrome at whim.
And Frazzle Drip.
Yeah, because this is for entertainment purposes only.
That was one time, and people won't just let it drop. You eat one little girl's face, and it gets caught on video, and now all of a sudden, that's like your face.
Really, literally.
Now they just put it all over volleyballs.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Welcome back.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah, body counts, and then.
Oh yeah. So body counts. So it's the Andrew Tates of the world out there who go on these podcasts and they're like, oh, I'm a high value man and you're a low value woman because you have a high body count. And they view these women as just pee-pee holes, just objects of sex, nothing more. Not if they have a brain or a soul. But yeah. So then there's the other side of men and women who say body count don't matter, that there's rules to this and we don't give ourselves up right away, but body count doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. I am a brain. I am a human being. Why should it matter? So it's like a ongoing back and forth, left, right. I don't know, but I see the beauty in purity, but I don't think you're worthless if you're not pure. It
Depends what kind of magic you practice.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it.
If you're aware, if you're, I'm not gonna say like, hey, open your legs to like 70 dudes in one night. I'm not saying that's cool, but like, you can't really judge a woman on what she really does with herself and her experience in finding the right person. Like they're judging women on, stupid ideas, like ridiculous ideas. But yeah, it's an
Who is this Andrew Tate you speak of? I'm just kidding. I don't want you to go.
He's a psyop. He's a whole ass psyop.
I know. You know how we get ready for this show and we only have to get ready from the waist up? That is Andrew Tate to me. He just is like a body from the waist up, and then I just imagine like sticks for legs, like I don't know, like robot legs. I don't know what's happening. It's just it's as not real as everything else. I'm like, whoop. My body count is 900. I force 900 people to drink my Kool-Aid.
Wow.
Flavor Aid, grape Flavor Aid.
Well, I convinced the whole world to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
I was about to say I'm small potatoes.
And if you count all the people that died in the hospital.
You two.
I think I
Me
topped
too.
all of
Thank
you.
you guys, Cone.
All right. I have the highest body count, and I'm very proud of it. But I'm not going to say the number because, it'll blow you away and probably put me in jail. But it's in the billions somewhere. Some in the billions.
The bills.
In the bills. I'll put it up in the bills.
That's
my
impressive and all,
personal-
but I'm kind of the enabler of all you guys. Like I keep you funded and like out of
Thanks.
trouble. So
Thanks, Hillary.
remember your buddy Jeffy. Remember how the cameras just kind of like flopped out and the guards fell asleep and the rope wasn't long. Anyways, just saying. If you want to keep doing your murder, you're kind of like under my umbrella.
Hillary, thanks for those nights that we've had. Thanks for the favors. I appreciate you.
I ran a CIA baby factory, and everybody still thinks it just was my idea.
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I was just producing some adrenochrome and melanin.
Oh my god.
Look at- Sorry, that's not anything to laugh about.
No, but is that what?
Soon,
I don't know much of the Jamestown.
it's Jonestown. Alex Jonestown.
Excuse me. I'm blind apparently with his glasses.
I can't see anything either.
I
I'm
can't
like,
see anything
can't
with these
see.
glasses.
like, really?
I know it's hard when you don't wear glasses.
No,
Go wear them.
why?
It really is.
So, like,
So-
I ran this church, and I
Uh-huh.
convinced all of these lower income people to move all the way to another country, and then I made conditions so bad for them there, and they tried to get help, and so bad, so like they got the help of a rando politician, offed him, don't worry about it, and some
Ah.
other people, they fly there. I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to be outed. So they all come into the church, and then I get all the parents to give their kids Kool-Aid or Flavor Aid grape, and it's poisoned, and all their kids die. And then it's easier for me to convince them to die. Probably like 300 people under the age of 17.
Genius.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea.
But still, it's genius.
Much like all the serial killers. It's just CIA shit.
We're just making money. We're just making money, baby. I love it. I love it. How much money did you make with all these body count?
Dead.
Huh?
I killed myself,
Oh, yeah.
supposedly.
Uh,
I killed myself.
sorry.
But really, yeah, there was just loose lips sink ships. And I had
You live-
loose lips.
Are you living in Argentina now with who's that guy?
Oh, Hitler.
Baby
Ah,
mustache.
that
I like
guy.
Buddy,
I like the one
man.
thing we're not gonna say. Like,
How's he doing? How's our buddy doing? I haven't heard from him in a while.
I know. Look at how we can be all these things.
Everyone else has the dog whistles.
That would get us pulled. All right.
Oh yeah.
I supposedly killed myself in 2022. Also,
Jeez Louise.
supposedly killed myself.
A lot of people I know end up doing that. I can't figure out what it is. Is
Weird.
it me?
It's strange.
It's,
Honestly, it's like you have a curse around
It's
you.
I
so
think it
weird.
is you. I
Yeah.
think it is you, actually.
Is it me?
It's her vagina. You know, Hillary. Hillary, your vagina, man. Your vagina.
Billy went too far with that.
It's actually a cloaca, but
The
I
chikungunya,
No,
the
no.
Zika virus,
Come
all
on.
that's fine. But you
Hillary's been
just
around
went
the
too
block,
far
man.
with
No, for
Hillary's
real.
hot
Hillary's
sauce.
vagina now.
No.
I'm out.
Hillary's been around the block, all right? I'm sorry, Hillary, but I've got to air your laundry out there, okay? You've been
They
around.
don't
Alright.
call me Slab a Beef for nothing. I've earned that one.
I always call you the Big Montana.
Ah.
That used to, if you're old enough, that used to be the best sandwich you could get at Arby's.
Arby's. Big Montana, yeah.
The Montana.
The Big Montana. Did you guys have, before we go all the way into real murderers, did you guys have like favorite horror movie murderers growing up, like slasher films? Freddy Kruger, Jason. What's your
Freddie was
Michael
always
Myers.
mine.
Michael Myers for me.
Dude, Freddy Krueger, where he kills the kid that has like a hearing aid by taking his claws and he just scrapes them across a chalkboard over and over until the thing like explodes in his ear and it turns into like a little creature. And that's probably one of my favorites. And then the next one after that is Silent Night, Deadly Night, a really horrible Christmas movie from like the early 80s where a guy like picks someone up and pushes them through like a deer antlers, and you just see it like push through the skin, and it's a Christmas movie.
Mm.
I know exactly
Oh,
what ones
I know
those
that.
are. I like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 and 4.
Part 3, yes, and 4. Those are my two favorites too.
3 and 4 are dope. I like
The 3 is the dreaming, the dream team.
Which was the one where the girl has to like
Memoirs.
keep eating and eating, and her like face gets huge?
I don't remember. That was because remember one of them I think had Roseanne in it.
I don't
really
remember.
I feel like Roseanne and
to
Tom
Nightmare on Elm
Arnold
Street
were in a
marathon.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
But it was
you-
like, yeah, I think Nightmare on Elm Street did some crazy shit after we were quote unquote little goats or what they call kids. It did some weird things, but I don't know why somewhere in my brain I have like Roseanne and that like her, she like play, I don't know. Maybe I should stop. Maybe it's not, maybe it's a whole different horror movie.
Maybe it's a different
But
timeline.
I like the Halloween that has them in masks where the masks turn into like something shamrock, silver shamrock Halloween. Do you guys remember that Halloween? And they all put on
No.
the mask and there's the song Silver Shamrock Halloween. And like
Oh, yeah.
if they put on the mask that's made from a certain company, then like worms and shit come out of their eyeballs because of a
Yeah.
microchip.
That was a good one. He was my favorite, honestly, because the idea of him just waking up even after you kill him, like just getting up. I'm like, dude, this guy doesn't die. Like, what is this thing? It's not human, obviously, but something. What is it?
I did love the Mike Myers, the Halloween's done by what's his name? By More Human Than Human. What's his name? Rob Zombie. They were
Yeah.
so good. The backstory was
Oh.
awesome.
Isn't it like
What's the
House of a
backstory?
Thousand Corpses is one of them?
Yeah,
yeah.
but he also did the Halloween, the relaunch of Halloween, where it tells like the story of Mike Myers as a kid. Awesome.
Have you ever
Yeah, that
heard
was a good one.
that Chainsaw Massacre was really a story about veganism, and that it's simply a retelling of humans going through the exact same process that cattle goes through, but it's just framed as a horror movie because they're humans instead of livestock.
Yeah, I've heard that before, actually. Totally. And when I learned that, the movie almost made more sense to me or something. I understood it on a different level. It felt more visceral and more real too. Like there was more to connect with or something. Yeah.
It's not just a bunch of bumpkins out in the middle of nowhere. Like now that they've got a purpose, and you almost like, yeah, kill them, those stupid meat eaters.
Oh, totally. And the shots of it's kind of brutal when they have like a shot of a cow and it's clearly in a slaughterhouse and stuff, and it just like, oh man. And I can imagine like when you read a good poem or something, you can like be in the place that they're describing. That movie, I felt like I could put myself in that like house or something. It was really weird. They did a really good job with it, that's
They
for sure,
did.
man. Yeah, that one strikes deep, I'd say.
So weird. I'm trying to, it's like that. Something must have happened with horror movies, or maybe real life just got in a certain way with anxiety that I couldn't watch horror movies anymore. And then I started watching them again with Hereditary and
Oh, yes.
Midsummer. And I
Yes.
just thought those were so good. I just thought they were so well done. And
Those are really good.
Hereditary, I really believe
Yes.
that is how it happens. That's what they're up to.
That's
Like,
exactly what they're showing you in that. Yeah.
I think that is the closest thing to like when they have even like whoever Diane Feinstein or whoever died yesterday, whatever old bag they drag in and they let them lay at state for a certain amount of days, or the queen, how they make her go through this whole ceremony. I'm like, this is things that Hereditary. And it makes me wonder how many people out there that are going through these rituals or playing the certain parts with certain families that are really just like putting together a perfect body for some old deity to jump into. It's wild.
It's Moloch. That's what we call him, Moloch.
Uh,
Yeah.
Hail.
Well, and I just always remember what stands out to me is like learning that Paimon, you know, the deity or the Goetia that they're actually worshiping in the movie is a real demon. It's a
Yep,
real
That's real
Goetia.
stuff.
And yeah, and I was like, damn, when we learned that was pretty crazy. It was like one of the first movies that we had seen in a while. We saw it in the theater that it actually hit us on a different level. Like there were some chilling moments because of these things of being like, yeah, this is actually how it goes down and it's ritual. It's, here it
This
is.
is Hereditary as well. This is this. Okay.
Yeah, the same movie.
Gonna have
Yeah,
to
it's a
watch that.
great one. That's one of my favorite ones of like the recent times, I'd say, for me
Yeah.
personally.
What about Exorcist 3? It's like super underrated, but I watched it several times and it's actually really, really good.
Really?
I've never seen it. Not the
yeah.
third one.
I hate that bitch.
It's pretty scary. It's actually like Linda Blair is back in it, but it's not like her. It's a continuation of what happened after the entity leaves her, right? After the demon leaves her and jumps into the priest and everything. The priest lives and he's like locked up in a mentally insane, like criminally insane ward. And then all of a sudden, like he's not far, he's like up in the top levels of this insane institute, and all these old people are downstairs that have they're senile, they've lost their minds, and he's able to possess all of them. And it's creepy as shit. And they
Mhm.
like bring up the Gemini killers, like this guy's investigating this Gemini serial killer, which I'm wondering if that's based on the Zodiac killer. I don't know. I'd have to
Ah.
like look more into like the Zodiac killer, but I'm thinking it might be loosely based on that. But
Wasn't there a lot of bees in that movie? In that version?
yeah, I think there
Yeah,
was.
right?
Do you remember the old lady like crawling on the ceiling?
Yeah, or was there a part
That was
where
just-
she was like kind of pumping the guy's heart when he's
Yeah.
sitting in the chair? Okay, yeah, that's it. Fucking, I saw that once and I will never do it again. Never do it again.
I liked that one. Didn't fuck me up like the first one did. It was
Yeah,
scary.
the first one, I can't anymore. I've had nightmares. The first time I've ever watched that movie, I've had nightmares for maybe 6 months straight. Every night, I just saw that bitch's face. 4747. Yep.
What about Pet Cemetery?
Oh, I've
The
never
little
seen
boy
it.
Gage. Oh,
I like Sleepwalkers. Da-na-na,
Stephen King never
Sleepwalkers.
did it for me ever.
I'll say the same.
da-na-na.
Yeah. But I will say, I did like it when I was a kid. I thought it was scary and I liked it, but I hated, it's like a 2-part movie. It's really long. The first part is pretty good. And then the second part, I always like fell off for me or whatever. But there was something about it and like how he presented that clown, and Tim Curry is just like the perfect it murder clown. So that one was, as a kid, was
Tim
good.
Curry is creepy as shit.
Yeah, he does that role so well, and oh man, yeah.
He's the best screen devil too in Legend.
Yeah. Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that also a Tom
Tim
Hanks
Cruise.
movie?
Yep.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Hanks is.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Hanks. You
That
got off
movie
just
gives
I
me-
was seeing Tom Cruise.
That movie
Ah,
gives
that's
me
another
allergy.
buddy of ours. How's he doing?
Like a
Yeah. How's Tommy Hanks
How's
up to?
Tommy doing?
Speaking of killers,
killer.
I did have something that I wanted to get your guys' take on and see what you guys think about it. I have a hot theory, and I'm not the only one out there, but this is the amazing thing about the internet is do you guys think there's any similarities here?
Yeah, Robert.
Oh
Come
wow.
on, Robert.
Robin Williams,
on,
and who's the other one?
So who's the one on the right?
The
For-
Golden State Killer?
Okay.
Yeah, it looks just like Robin Williams. And
I call
so
him
you think
Robert.
that the
Yeah, I'm gonna
DNA
go see.
Golden State Killer thing is incorrect?
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Patton Oswald had something to do with the DNA thing. I think Patton Oswald's pretty creepy. And I think you can kind of see deaths happen around the time that Robin Williams comes into Hollywood. And then you see deaths fall away around the time Robin Williams starts to take jobs in other places, like in Vietnam, for example, and like Good Morning Vietnam. But we would never know what deaths were happening in Vietnam. And so it's like, what a perfect way for these Holly weirdos to travel the globe and do whatever kind of weird shit they're into. And then no one ever find out about it because they can just do it within movie sets in certain towns and certain, so it's why certain people probably film in certain countries. They're like, oh, it's so cheap for us to film the beach in, this country. But really, it's like, no, they do this because they want to do their absurd Hollywood shit.
I mean, hey, I'm even friends with the prince. Kidding? Like, I've had so many dinners with him and Epstein. You kidding? Let me get my booster.
I'm
gonna do that all night.
All night.
Good. Do it. Do it. It'll work. Eventually, it's gonna work.
Isn't it weird that Freddy Kruger was a pedophile?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think I knew that until they did the new Freddy Kruger relaunch, whatever. And then I was like, oh, it was there the whole time. I should have known he was a pedophile the whole time. But yeah, it's weird that he's a pedo.
I'm trying to.
Wait, I didn't know he was a pedo.
Yeah, it was when they re-released it. So not the original Freddy Krueger. So when they started making the new Freddy Krueger,
Okay.
they get into his backstory and when he got burned and all that, and he was like a pedophile. He was like molesting little kids. He was like the caretaker of or groundskeeper, like the gardener at a daycare.
I think Robert Englund came out and sort of
time.
denounced that retelling because it was a total shift, and it's
It was completely different.
and I think that he made like a tweet. It was kind of funny at the time, but he was like, "I'm a killer, not a pedophile," or like, "I'm a murderer. I just murder them and don't rape them."
Let's see. Are we having technical difficulties, Gordy?
I don't see it on the YouTube.
I don't hear Gordy.
Maybe it's just Gordy.
For me, Thomas and Michelle and Abby are frozen, but you guys are fine.
Everybody was fine for me the whole time.
Yeah.
Really?
My
still
camera
can't
was
hear
off
them.
for a little while too. It was
I'm
just
looking
off.
at the YouTube channel and we're all fine. We're all
Oh,
moving.
weird.
Yeah.
I just had to go get some more adrenochrome. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Is it better?
Yeah, there was a period of time that Thomas and Michelle turned off their cameras for a minute.
Yeah.
So maybe they just froze on your end, but everything was
it's
all
me.
good.
Hmm.
I'm like, gosh, I'm even paying attention to everything. I don't see everybody looks dreamy to
Uncle
me.
Ted's getting frustrated with technology again. This isn't going to end up well for anybody.
I've got some.
Hide your laptops, kids.
I've got some cylinder kind of things. And I mean, I'm telling you, you can get a lot of amazing things through the mail. Like, you just got to be creative of where how you drop it,
Oh, trust me, I know. Have you ever looked into Wayfair? You can just order some furniture through the mail and it shows up. It's great.
Yeah.
You should look for the Chelsea model.
They just show, right.
I ordered mine last week.
Does anybody know anything about the Idaho 4 case going on right now?
What is that?
Jenny G just pulled it up and says there's weird number syncs and it happened at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. I haven't looked into any of it yet, so I don't know. I'm just pulling up her thing. And then she also says that Obama's new movie Leave the World Behind premieres 1122, and for any history nerds out there, that's the day Kennedy was killed.
Yep.
So that is super interesting.
Coincidence, I think not.
Yeah. So the main suspect in the trial's birthday is 1122. And that is also the first day of Sagittarius.
That's also the master builder number too. It's the 1122 is the master builder number. Like it's
also the day after my birthday.
My daughter's birthday.
Now we know.
11/22 or 11/21.
And if you would like
11/22.
to send gifts over, where can they send them to?
Oh my. Oh my, don't put me on the spot like that.
I'm just saying, you know, it's your birthday, girl. It's your birthday.
It's not yet though. We're still in October.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So let's see. Do I have any other I don't want to jump away from Friday the 13th. If you guys have anything else to add to that topic.
It's Taylor Swift's favorite number. Apparently, she does everything around 13. 13, it's her number. Everyone says it's bad luck. I do not believe it.
Well, let's talk about 13 for a second then, because if we're talking about suppressing the feminine, they do it all the time. There is 13 lunar months,
Yes.
perfectly.
Yes.
But we don't do that. There is a 13th floor on buildings, but they purposely don't list the 13th floor. Like, they're deleting 13,
What's the
just like they're deleting women.
yeah, what's the 13th letter of the alphabet?
M?
They always take
So
out
it's like the Mar, the Mary.
It isn't.
Yeah. Wow. How interesting. I was gifted the M today.
The Mother Mary. They like the M is just a 3 on its side. Just like a
No,
W. That's the
Yep.
WW. It's like always with the World War. You can't have a World War without the 33 symbolism everywhere.
I
And
mean,
Mary brings it back to 13. It's like there it is. It's like the goddess, the primordial mother.
Mary.
Yep. There you go.
what about
In the comments, Judas said Judas was 13. That's why it was suppressed.
oh, he was the 13th.
And 13 pieces of silver. 13
Right.
pieces of silver too, wasn't
Mhm.
it? But I don't.
Judas is the
I just-
13th apostle. He was the last one to the supper.
Mm.
And there is that 13th month that we're not allowed to represent at all.
No, wait.
Well, that's what the Ossificus,
Ossific- yeah.
Ophiuchus.
Ophiuchus, the 13th zodiac
Yes.
sign. Yeah.
Mhm.
As a serpent bearer, right?
Yeah. The healer. He's the healer.
So then the serpent and the
Ether.
egg. We have the serpent and the egg again. Like all, always. It
The
seems to be
serpent.
the
Yeah, well, because the serpent raising the kundalini and everything, which would be the feminine, because it's like the whole Mary Magdalene of it all. I think the 13th apostle is actually
divine,
Mary
yeah.
Magdalene.
Ah, interesting.
Have you guys heard that the 13 is supposed to be unlucky because it was Friday the 13th that Jacques de Molay of the Templar essentially gets like burned at the stake and they suppress the Templars, and that makes the Friday the 13th unlucky in
That's right.
perpetuity.
Yeah, I thought that was, you refreshed my memory on that. That's very true. It had to do something with the Templars and
Wasn't there some kind of massacre or like takeover
that's what
Mhm.
I'm
with
thinking
the
in my head.
Templars
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
day?
In France, they were all executed, like in the
Yeah,
1500s.
they basically hunted them all down. Like, and like the long story of it short is just that a lot of powerful people owed them a lot of money, and they were just able to convict them of whatever they wanted to, and then the debt just immediately goes away. It's kind of what I do for all the people that I owe money to.
Templar, like the word Templar from Portuguese to Latin separate is praise them. And so then I was
Ah.
wondering if Templars could have been women. And because we see Joan of Arc wear the same crest later on. And we know afterward, we kind of have where everybody goes to new worlds. And we also have these stories of Amazonians, and we also have these stories on the island of Lesbos. And so then you wonder if the Templars, because there's other stories, and women weren't allowed to be knighted until like the 1800s or 1900s or something. So you even have this very interesting word, knight. knighted. So then you wonder if it has something to do with the actual night, and women weren't allowed to friggin' go outside and play magic in the dark for a long time.
Mm.
And so there's just a lot of other stuff with popes as they become mixed with kings that gets rinsed out of the Catholic Church. Because I think a lot of what we think is Catholic now is the original Protestants. I think the original Protestants mixed with the people that because there was pagans that wouldn't agree to mix the religions. And there was Christians or Catholics that didn't want the religion mix. And there was Protestants that didn't want that. And all those people were called purists. It didn't matter what they were just puritanical in their idea of original thinking. But the Vatican, as we know now, is this weird swirl up of, pagan, Protestant, but they don't believe in any of those things. But the symbolism is all there to kind of represent their things. But it just is curious, like Templar, praise them in talking about the eclipse of it all. And then somebody said in chat earlier, but it was so far back I didn't want to bring it, that people say that Jesus was crucified on an eclipse.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's
Mm.
true. Is it depicted in artwork?
It says it in that the sun went black, the sun went dark. So yeah, it says it in the Bible.
And the Cozy Crone, she said that they hunt them all down successfully with even like the Templars. Don't we have that same thing with the witch hunts? Did they why do they keep wanting to off these whole crusades of people and then like recreate the story of what they used to be? And so if there was a bloodline they were trying to protect, because a lot of people will link the Templars to the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur, if there was a bloodline that the Round Table was trying to protect and all agreed upon, what bloodline was it? And so then it's like, oh, because obviously the royals care about their bloodlines. Obviously, they care about drinking our blood. Hey, am I right, Hillary?
Nice.
Cheers.
Everything drink.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
all is Sprague and love and war.
Brilliant. Hey, Michelle.
Yes.
Rock stars always have you ever seen those charts? Or I think Rolling Stone did one like years ago of rock stars that have body counts.
Okay. Like body counts in the way that we were talking about before, like sexual partners.
Well, no. Well, there's those lists too. I'm sure.
Because now I'm confused. There's all these.
I know.
about it.
It
Wait.
means
I'm sure that's-
anything.
Was I just being a pervert and thinking body counts in a different way?
No, I brought it
I'm
up.
talking about
okay.
I brought it up.
body counts, like killers. Like,
We
is
all
there
know you're the humper.
Bill, like, have,
Yes, I
Because
am.
it's different vernacular for the younger crowd. Like body count does mean the
I like
sexual
it.
partner.
Gotcha. All right. I'm glad I know that now. Just moving forward.
I'm not going
Like-
to say it always is going to mean, because I was going to be like body
Now
count,
I'm
like
gonna be
blood on their
confused.
hands. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
Yeah. Rock stars that have killed people.
Okay.
All of them?
Lay it on me.
Like the only one I really researched was I was just thinking about it because the only one I looked at was The Killer, was Jerry Lee Lewis. You know, 'cause as a kid I fucking loved Jerry Lee Lewis. Man, he was like the crazy ass chair kicking rockabilly guy to me when I was a kid. I was like, God, I love that dude.
He loved kids too.
He like got married 7 times and 4 of his wives were like died mysteriously, and
Oh.
like his first wife was 13 years old.
And she
Yeah.
came up dead.
Yeah. What's that?
Wow. And she came up dead, and she
13.
was 13.
No. I think she's. But his other wives like mysteriously died, and his son died also mysteriously in a car wreck. And I don't know, man. He got But
sounds a lot like Keanu Reeves. Like
if you're
all the people around him dead.
if you're into rock and roll documentaries, like there is outtakes on YouTube for the Hail Hail Rock and Roll for the Chuck Berry documentary, but the outtakes are the ones you want to see is Jerry Lee Lewis getting drunk on the air and smoking a pipe, and he's talking about getting with colored women, and then he's like realizing he was being taped and shit, and then he just keeps drinking and it just gets worse. But he admits in that interview that he was the person that started payola. That when Dick Clark banned his records because of the 13-year-old thing, because he got banned in Europe, right? They sent him home on his tour when they found out his wife was 13 years old. Like Europe frowned on him. They all canceled on him. He had to come home. So after that, he got blackballed everywhere, and nobody would play his records. Dick Clark stopped playing his records, so he started paying everybody else. Alan Freed, number one, he just kept funneling money to Alan Freed, which some of that money probably came from his moonshiner mafia ties. So, man, that just dude is. Go watch those interviews. They're fucking crazy. And he's fucking Billy Graham's cousin. First cousin. And they show up right at the right time. Like he's the anti-Elvis, you know, the white, blonde-haired, like rebellious. He's kind of like the Sex Pistols kind of like disturbance kind of thing in music. Like this was rock and roll was okay, but it needed that rebellion, like kicking the ass of some sort of psychopath, and that was Jerry Lee Lewis.
I was just gonna say P. Diddy, Jenny G. Killed his wife.
They're all over the place, dude. Rock stars are
and many others.
There's people to be around. I'm just saying.
Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't she there when her friend suicided herself?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't one of the Olsen twins just like the first one on the scene before the fuzz when Heath Ledger died?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brittany Murphy, too. Who was there or something like that?
I don't think no? She died of pneumonia, and then her partner, her husband, I don't know if it was her husband or not, he dies of pneumonia, and then their best friend dies of a pneumonia.
In Brittany's apartment.
No,
Right?
it was a house that she lived in at one time. They both owned it at separate times.
Yeah.
And different Brittany, same house. And her they supposedly Brittany Murphy's man and his friend that both died of pneumonia or it's so weird, the pneumonia thing too, because all the symptoms are very similar to like how the people died in respirators and shit. But they were doing a film on 9/11 supposedly. But
Selena, she was a sacrifice.
Selena, moon goddess, Selena, like Diana, both died on a 31. Both died on the 31st of a month.
I think her father did it, but I'm just saying.
I think it's bigger than that. I think Selena was actually one of those people like Diana or like an MJ, where past politics and past borders, they can bring people together. So like Selena had more power with South America and with Mexico than any, she could have stopped a war with a pin drop. Like she had more power than they want people to have. And I think Diana was one of those same energies. She was carrying more power than the crown. That was not allowed to happen. That was not allowed to exist. So I just think Selena is one of those really untapped conspiracies that she was like huge, powerful thing about to unfold. And even being Tex-Mex, being Texas, like American born. And that would have been a huge gig. Very intelligent girl. Yeah.
Very smart, beautiful. She had
Bum.
it all. Yeah.
And she just won her Grammy.
I
Selena!
bet her face tasted like Tex-Mex.
You what?
My
I bet her
man.
face tasted like Tex-Mex.
I could fall. And that's just American shit. But I'll sing Selena in Spanish and I don't even know all the words that I'm singing.
Bam, bam.
A bitty, 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 bitty.
Bam, bam.
What about the 27 Club?
Oh yeah.
You think anyone really
So-
killed themselves? Or you think they're all sacrifices? Janice.
Well, what if
Jim.
it's the whole idea of like the crossroads thing where you make a contract at the crossroads and you have 10 years?
Mm.
So say you do it at 17, they'll give you to 27.
Huh. Lot of that could be.
I've been thinking about the crossroads things a lot since I live where I live, like where the crossroads of the railroad tracks are, you know, and then like
kind
a lot
of
of
for
the
the whole country.
yeah, and a lot of the businesses here are called the crossroads, and I'm like, you know, this is fucking weird. Like this would probably be the place you go to make a contract.
And don't they tell you when you die, it's you're like, meet me at the crossroads,
Yeah.
crossroads, meet me at the crossroads. Oh, Layla.
There's weird things happening.
I'm sorry. What was it?
I think your mic's on or something.
Is
Or
it?
your YouTube volume. on
Or
your
what
phone.
happened? I just feel like everybody disappeared.
Yeah.
Does this
we
not
lost.
work? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still
Yeah.
hear you.
So
Yeah,
this
the whole
doesn't-
time.
This doesn't mute. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, that's just light
Just
now.
took the light on.
Wow. Everything's glitching today, huh? All right.
Sorry, Bill.
Sorry. It's all right. It's all right. It's
That's
all right. Let me
wonderful.
just
You must be
juice up
using
real
Windows
quick.
devices.
Yes.
Okay, I'm better. I'm better now.
Hilarious.
I friggin' agree. I think Brittany Murphy is a
Yeah.
whole episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Andy. Just saying Andy. But
Now you're muted, Layla.
okay. Good.
Okay.
I was like, what's happening? Did my sound cut off? I'm like, am I glitchy now?
I'm curious too, because I'm like, where did
I know. I'm like, are we still
Michelle Jones
alive?
go?
Okay, everything's still fine on the technical end of it. Good grief. My dad's passed away, but he was so bad at mechanical stuff. And so this would be a stream if he were running it. Because it's like, oh, geez. Okay, what else do I have going on my killer list? I knew we were going to talk about the Knights of the Templar. I thought it was interesting that 13 was a lucky number and in Norse and Celtic. And then in Tibet, it's a holy number. Oh, yay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Okay. Is Michelle here yet?
I think I need some
Here.
age chrome. Be right back.
You need some H Chrome.
Yeah, I need some age.
Okay. Is everything okay?
I
Hillary,
think so.
did you have to set up your VPN?
That might have been a good idea.
I also have a really dope friend named Philip, and he's going to come hang out with us one night. And so I kind of felt like I was cheating at because I just had the word ahead of time, and then he just sent me random facts throughout the week. And one of the things that I'm like, oh, and I think it's so interesting that soap operas used to be called serials.
All right.
And so then we end up with serial killers, and serial spelled the same way because we have soap operas which were made to sell soap. They were like big soap commercials for the people that would buy them. So serials, it was never spelled like cereal, because
Like,
you would think,
Calgon, take me away.
yeah, or you'd think they'd make it to sell cereal, but they never did that. So it was spelt like serial killer. So I just always thought that was like an episodic crime show. And so we get this like episodic killers that come out all of a sudden. I don't know. Like any of the ones with the, whether it's Ted Bundy or Son of Sam or any of this stuff, it's like we have serial killers that they tell us about through history that they're like, this is the first serial killer. But then it became like these people to like kind of lock down parts of the country or change political things or get it. They become this like heavy wave of, I don't know, another weird one of all the serial killers, the DC sniper. Remember that weird thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the one where they shot it? They were shooting out of their trunk. They had like a
Yeah.
set up,
It was
like hollowed out their car.
It was almost like the setup for like starting to set up the word terrorism for us. Like, because we have like 9/11, we have the DC sniper. Like they keep having to push these like extremist ideas on this word terrorist, because we have to believe in the word terrorist. It's this invisible enemy. It's the same as going to war with obesity or going to war with drugs. We have to go to war with, or going to war with corona. We have to go to war with these invisible enemies. So they have to create a word terrorist that they know they're going to use later on come January 6th. They know, because Alex Jones told us they're going to use patriots and they're going to be the new terrorists. And so it's like they have to like slowly get people to believe in this thing, so then they can turn the thing and make it, look, we got the homegrown, we got the Oklahoma City, and we got all this stuff, we got homegrown terrorism. And so then any militias, it's like probably all a slow law. So they're like, look at, so we can get rid of these things. You don't want state run militias. You want to give us your guns, because school shootings.
You don't want guns to get into those baskets of deplorables.
Yeah, bunch of deplorables. Like, because what do they need a well-armed militia for?
Well, and you notice outside of, I guess, Ted Bundy, arguably, but usually when you say serial killer, you just mean poor serial killer, because like the rich serial killers kind of get away with it.
I know, but wasn't Ted Bundy a politician, or wasn't he a Democratic politician or something?
I think related to.
I feel like he was like he was like being groomed for politics, but maybe just didn't make it. Maybe his Beetle wasn't a nice enough car.
Well, he was very attractive. So that would make sense. I mean, he would definitely be like the women's choice. You know what I mean?
Doesn't it seem like he isn't that attractive? They just tried to sell us that idea by calling him so attractive.
Like
I
JFK.
don't know. I look at his old pictures and he looked pretty attractive, I think. Like,
Yeah,
compared,
just
like if you look at
JFK.
him compared to like John Wayne Gacy. If JFK wasn't attractive, I'm sorry. I totally think that is weird that they thought that.
Was our
I've had to draw his face a lot. He had some weird, like, googly eyes going on. Like they were like popping out of his skull, and not in the way that I usually like.
Was that?
But John F. Kennedy Jr. was hubba hubba. Don't you think he was hot?
What?
No?
He's
Yeah,
coming.
but-
He's coming back. He's still alive.
Maybe he'll be the Speaker of the House.
Fuck, yeah.
You heard it here first. That would be wild times. That would be wild times. That would be biblical. So Philip also sent me that Ted Bundy's car, the lead singer of Korn owns it now.
The fuck?
Oh,
Whoop, excuse me.
Do you know what kind of car it is?
A
Really?
Beetle. A Volkswagen
Ah.
Beetle, I think.
Huh. Jonathan
Yeah.
Davis, eh?
Davies. Oh,
Oh,
Huh.
see, I didn't know who it was.
Yeah, there's a big resurgence of like new metal too with younger kids. There
Yeah,
was like a
what's with that
festival
happening?
last year. Yeah, I think and the Deftones, like these kids are like, "Oh my god,"
I
and they're going through
know.
their whole discography and stuff, and it's kind of cool to see cuz I like the Deftones, but it's interesting that it's like coming back. So, and even
See,
like the Janko kind of like skater style, I've seen kids like getting back into that. I was like, "Whoa, that's what I know that I'm like getting older."
Yeah, right.
Cuz that's what I was all about. Like, "Yes, this shit's awesome. Like the bigger the better on the jeans and stuff, like they all wide and shit, like that skater kind of stuff." But you can't skate in that stuff. It's really funny. You can't like skate
I know.
in the big like
Ridiculous.
floppy jeans. You could, but you know, it's better off if they're skinny. So it's really funny how like fashion and the fashion industry molds what society does and like how you actually think something looks by just the fashion of it. But functionality wise, it's like actually not that functional.
Hmm. I like the Long Island serial killer topic and the whole what's his face radio show guy Howard
Oh,
Stern.
wait. Oh, tell me about this.
Weird.
Howard Stern had a whole podcast talking about exactly who the fucking Long Island serial killer is, from what kind of car he drove to what kind of job, how he looked, where he lived around. And he's like, my guess is that this guy works at I don't know what the hell his occupation was. And he's a big guy and he's probably this and that. And it, for every detail that he said about the killer, the actual killer that they caught fit every description that Howard Stern said. Fucking mind blowing.
Howard Stern's from Roosevelt, Long Island.
I wonder.
And also a weird thing, Howard Stern's like one of my rabbit holes. His favorite meal, and he repeats it all the time to Robin.
chicken
And it
parm.
never meant anything. Yes, it never meant anything for years and years and years and years that I listened to him repeat this meal. And now, knowing everything I
meal?
know, well, it's chicken parmesan. And he orders it and he tells Robin this specifically every time. And she's even like, Howard, I know your meal. I don't want to hear it anymore. He's like, Robin, I have to tell you, I'm trying to be good on my diet. I order pasta and I throw half the pasta away. And I get my chicken parmesan and I peel the skin off my chicken parmesan. Well, Howard, you know you can order that chicken without the skin. Robin, stop. I like the flavor. Just let me do it this way. So then, listen, I peel all the skin off the chicken parmesan and I scrape half the pasta into the trash. And this is how I eat my meal. And he has to explain it. And this is how I think he orders his adrenochrome.
Huh.
I think he's out every time we have to hear him go through this thing. I think Beth O is a high witch. You see a switch in Howard when he comes out with his movie. His movie is called like Private Parts. He comes out with Private Parts. His next movie, Miss America. All the person who makes his movie, it's all linked into Hollywood. All of him gets sold. He leaves his wife. He ends up with Beth O. She's a high witch. And everything changes. All of a sudden, they start collecting these cats and doing all this cat stuff, which I really believe the reason the elite always try to save animals is because karmically they're trying to fix some shit that they're doing on the off
Balance
end of
it,
humans.
yeah.
And so all their animals, if you look at Howard and Beth's animals, it's all like one-eyed cats and maimed animals all the time that they're rescuing. And she puts them
Wow.
all over her Instagram. And then what I started to notice when I really started to go into a lot of Hellenistic symbolism is because I started to look in the backgrounds of all of their houses. So on Instagram, this is what I used to do on the Conspiracy Chicken too much back when I was anonymous. On Instagram, I would follow all these celebrities, and in the background, it's what they had on their shelves that fucking mattered. I didn't care what was going on the mic, and so I would still shot it and look up their art and look up their shit and look up their Hellenistic stuff and that whole religion. I only found out about it and went down that rabbit hole because of Howard Stern and Beth O and everything they had in their house. And so then I'm like, oh, this shit's real. Like, and then I started looking at all the people they're hanging out with, and it's all like Bruce Springsteen and, you know, Rachel Ray, which Rachel Ray is an Oprah. Like, we would never know about Rachel Ray without Oprah. She's another Oprah girl. So it's like the Howard Stern rabbit hole, all these celebrities. He vacations, his best friend's Jimmy Kimmel. He vacations with Jennifer Aniston. Like, he's not a normal guy. He was going to
Interesting.
run for office one time, but they wanted to look at his taxes. And he was like, nope. So Howard Stern rabbit hole.
Yeah, he's my buddy.
Murderer.
Buddy of mine. Interesting.
There's a Long Island rabbit hole here too, because I think Long Island has like the highest capita of serial killers out of other areas in the country. It's also where Amityville is at, right by the same beach murders. And on the far end of that exact same inlet is Camp Hero, which is where Project Montauk, Stranger Things, all of that. And, you know, just off the shoot from there, you've got Plum Island, which is where they were apparently doing like some sort of animal experimental testing, where the Montauk monster maybe came from, if it wasn't just like a swollen beaver that like fell into the water, right?
The Lyme disease with ticks.
The Lyme disease, like maybe maybe that came from some kind of like uncontrolled, you know, bat deer hybrid experiment that was going on.
It could have been a parasite too, like created like a parasite, so it would like take over. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just a thought. That's what comes to me.
Vril.
Good, yeah.
Ooh, Vril. I
Have
love
you
the
guys-
Vril rabbit hole.
Been noticing people in their eye, like fucked up eyes? Like this thing
No.
going around with random cases of their eye being fucked up. This is maybe like the third or fourth customer that I've had come in talking about their eye. I mean, just looking at their
Describe
eyes.
the fuck it up it. Like, what is
It's like
fuck it up it? Are we talking about?
it's pretty bad.
When this customer walks in, you're like, is it
Yeah,
like-
your eye,
don't
just
get it
by
on me.
looking at it, your eyes will tear. It's
Okay.
like pussy, swollen, red inside, and this is the fourth customer that I've had the same issue with. Well, I didn't have the issue, but they had the issue, and it's just like, is this some kind of weird parasitic, my technology, you know, containing some kind of,
Interesting.
and it's causing some kind of problem in the eye?
Your skin is also an organ. And so everywhere around your eye too, your eyelids are like, this is so crazy. And this is such my lesbian brain. So tell me if I'm wrong. And not that I haven't had the experience in my life, but it's so far away to being this where I compare everything. Your eyelid skin is soft like ball skin. That's what I imagine. This is in my lesbian brain. I don't know if that's true or not. I just imagine balls to be like soft skinned. Like,
Hang on.
that's why I don't like when my other guy friends hurt my other guy friends' balls. I just am like, stop hitting him in the eyelids. In my lesbian head, because it just seems really soft skin. Like, and
I don't know,
all the other
honestly.
stuff in there. So
I would say that's
Probably.
accurate.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think it's close. I really do.
like-
That's really funny.
It's like so soft. So I just think your skin is an organ too. Everybody's been shooting themselves up with shit for however long, and everybody's taken hits in the heart and hits in the lungs and hits in the spleens and hits in the liver and hits in your skin's going to take shit too. So I feel like the amount of rashes and the amount of crusty weird things, or even if somebody, think of how many times maybe you accidentally do get some particle of shit in your eye, but your
Yeah.
body's usually strong enough to fight it off. Your immune system just blinks and blinks and your tears get rid of it and everything's fine. But if your immune system's low, your ass will get pink eye. And so it's like, I just think we could be looking at everybody walking around with a super low immune system.
I don't know. I'm
could see
thinking
that.
that's, you know, like the whole MK Ultra and the you know, the left eye club, and it's literally the left eye that people are coming in and like, oh my god, my eye, my eye, my eye. And I had this one customer had his whole eye taken out.
What?
Yeah, his whole eye was taken out, and he was
Because of the rash?
What did you have put in it?
quadruple boost, huh?
If you had your eye taken out and you weren't allowed to get an eyeball put
He's
in it.
patched up.
I know,
right
but
now.
let's just, for shits and giggles,
Uh-huh.
we all have to lose an eye, and we have to get our eyeball replaced with something not an eye. What do you get?
Drugs.
An 8-ball?
Just
Yeah.
an
I've,
eight.
I've always wanted to like hollow out a part of my body, just so I've always got a place to stash.
A gold-
Drugs.
a
Would you
golden
want a
ball.
zipper in there, or like a
Zipper.
fake, like a magnet shut? Like,
Yeah, like a little drawer or something that you could like pull out and put back in.
oh
Like
my
a
God.
poison
You know,
ring,
little
but it's
wooden
your eye.
boxes you get at the craft
Oh,
fairs,
does-
and you have to like
But can it
pull
look like
one
an
piece
eye?
out and then the other piece. Yeah.
I would either
Remember
get a
those
gold,
mouths that you squeeze in the 70s and they were change
Little
wallets?
coin pouch. Yeah.
I would get a golden ball or a mirrored eye, like a mirrored
ball.
eye, like an
Oh, look right
yeah.
back at them.
like a mirrored eye.
Last Action Hero where you had the smiley face.
Mm,
That's what about a mirrored ball eye, like
mm.
a disco ball,
Pull
and it's spin around all the
out
time.
the cocaine,
They
baby.
hate you in summer down here,
You
man.
open your eyeball and you. I see you thinking, Dr. Fauci.
Oh, I was thinking Labyrinth. What are those balls called that I've seen on TV? You know, and then Labyrinth where you're sitting there like using the glass mirrored balls
Same.
or the glass ball. Or, were
Or
they
imagine
glass?
just getting a ball sack.
No,
like a
thank
ball
you.
sack.
Not on my face.
Instead of eye, would you rather
You have to
have?
shave
Would
up
you
there.
rather have eyelids
all
for
these
balls or balls
hairs,
for
like,
eyelids?
sticking out,
That's like
growing
people who
out
have
of
to
it.
like get their big toe sewn on for their thumb.
Oh shit.
Michelle, do you have something else other than an eyeball that you would replace?
Oh my
Well-
god. You know, the first thing that came to my mind was fucking nutmeg. I don't know why.
You would put nutmeg in your eye?
I was like,
Hold on.
nutmeg, man.
That might
and-
mean something spiritual. Hold on.
I know. I feel like
12:47.
Yeah,
I think
let's
shit.
find out.
That was the
It's
first thing that
psychedelic.
came to my mind, so might as well say it. But then I thought of obsidian, like a sphere of obsidian. That'd be
That'd be
pretty
pretty.
trippy.
that'd
Yeah.
be cool.
I'd like that.
I
A
always
black eye would be
remember.
badass.
Drug. It's a hallucinogen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is.
What's that?
Nutmeg is a
Nutmeg.
hallucinogen.
Oh yeah, see, I've heard about this, and I've heard people like will try and smoke it and stuff and whatever. But
you
I
can't
wonder
smoke it. But
Did
I ate like 30 grams of it once.
what happened.
It felt like I was drunk for about 2.5 days.
Really?
Wow.
Mm.
What did you
It's also
feel-
highly toxic, by the way.
Yeah, what did you feel in your body? Was like, what was your temperature like? Did you feel like energy or?
It was like 13, and I was already going through like puberty and a hard time. So I don't know. It all just kind of like mixed together.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if you could make a tincture of nutmeg and then take it, and then you could like regulate the dose or something like that.
It could be the new like pumpkin spice
Microdosing?
craze.
There you go.
So it is
Just
to
a few
promote-
drops.
Yeah.
promotes insight, intuition, and spiritual growth.
Ah,
You know
well,
how
that would
Stevie-
make sense for an eye. That would be a good eye.
Mm.
Oh, that'd be a good. You know how Stevie Nicks had like she would have somebody blow cocaine up her butt because she ruined her nose cartilage, so she could no longer take cocaine. So she like had someone travel with her to like do this for her.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And there's like, you know, people will in college, like dudes will butt chug and they'll put a funnel in their butthole and then like pour a beer in it and then drink it with their butt and
No.
thell get really drunk.
That's
So-
really
I've heard the
nuts.
I've
tampon
never
one.
heard of this.
I heard the tampon one too.
Girls will soak their tampon with alcohol and then get drunk that way. So what I was thinking is maybe if you had a hollowed out eye, that could just be like your butthole,
flask?
like or your extra like you wouldn't have to hire somebody to do your nutmeg and be like, I can't snort this, I can't swallow it. I'll just put it right in my eye, shut
My
it.
eye.
Yeah, magnet in my eye and it'll just go where it needs to
I
go.
mean, if skin
You could
is
take
an
your
organ-
vitamins that way.
Yeah.
If skin is an organ, why can't we just rub shit on us and like get high?
You can.
You can,
You
yeah.
can?
Yeah,
yeah.
they even tell you if you ever paint yourself, you have to leave a spot of your body open because you'll suffocate yourself. Like if you cover your whole skin with paint, you have to leave a part open because you will actually suffocate yourself.
fucking nuts.
That's
Whoa.
what happened to the guy in Wizard of Oz, right? The Tin Man guy. Buddy Ebsen was the original Tin Man, and he the makeup, the tin makeup wouldn't let him breathe, and he like got really fucking sick, and he had to fall out, and then the other guy came. That's how I have.
You know what's coming into mind right now? That video or psyop of the artificial bodies that were in plastic, how they were displaying them. How could they keep those bodies in there covered in plastic then? You guys seen that video? Like it came out years ago about like those, I guess, selling of clones, and they had a whole video on this, showing that you can buy your clone, and it comes packaged like a fucking, I don't know, a piece of steak, and it's like a huge body inside of a fucking packaged plastic. You guys never seen it?
Are we
I've
talking
seen
about
the
like
Black
sex dolls
Mirror.
right now?
No, this is an actual like fucking clip that I don't know if it was like a conspiracy clip or something, but it was an actual clip of this clone body type, buy your own type clone, and they were showing these bodies in fucking huge Ziploc bags and shit with tubes coming out of it.
That sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
It's not Black Mirror.
And it sounds like it's mixed with Dolly the sheep.
Huh. Yeah, it looked like that.
Like a human
in a
inside
pouch.
plastic.
Yeah. It was so crazy. And you see people going up to the like little pouches, touching them, and they're like all fascinated. Oh my God, that's a real body in there. Oh my God.
Would you be able to kill your clone?
Ooh.
Would killing your clone be murder?
Depends if they harmed anyone I love. Probably. Then I would kill it. Like if it killed my mom, I'd kill it. Like, bitch, fuck you. Like,
But to just take away about any of that. What morally is it murder to kill a clone in general? Maybe it's not even your clone,
that's
but
a good question.
I just feel like if it's your clone, it's like your clone. It seems like a little more.
Would it be suicide? Says Becky.
Oh shit.
Whoa. Holy shit.
That just blew my mind. If you kill your clone, is it suicide?
You're killing yourself, but you're not yourself.
Essentially, you kind of are, though,
But you are. But it's
you're
not really
responsible
you.
for yourself.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like my clone would just kill themselves somehow.
probably mine too, honestly.
I feel like if anyone had to walk up in here, they might.
At this point, like, bro, really? Nah, I'm out.
You know how, like, an organized mess, like if you guys, I mean, right now this room looks very organized, but it's just like if I looked at anybody else's filing system and we all spoke different languages, that's what I feel like being in somebody else's head would be like. It would just be like chaos.
Yeah. Dude.
I don't know. Killing your clone.
Would I be able to do that?
Kill your clone? Well, here was the other question that I feel like it was last week. And I don't remember your answer, but maybe it's similar. Would you have sex with your clone?
Yes.
So you'd have sex with your clone quick. So is all fair in love and war. So could you kill your clone?
No. Because I'm fucking awesome. Why would I want to kill myself, dude? Like, nah. I'm not killing any version of me. Let them be 17 million of me out there. I don't care. I would love that. More me, more beautiful world.
Billy G.
Billie
True
Jean.
words.
Got my boobs. My boobs.
My moobs.
My boobs. My boobs.
Billy G's got a body on him.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys know anything about John Wayne Gacy?
I know he would bury
I see his
the
face.
bodies in his own house, like under the floorboards, right?
Yeah, I just didn't know that he also like hung out with like got a photo op with Rosalind Carter. And I was like, huh, that's hella interesting because everybody always is like thinks Jimmy Carter's such a harmless president. And I like to think these presidents that are kind of like the harmless ones, um, are they harmless? Like Jimmy Carter or like Al Gore? Uh, or do they just or Bush Jr. or Senior is a one-term president, like these ones that we don't ever like look back at too much, or are they like the darkest mofos? I don't know. So Jimmy Carter is always like this rabbit hole I always go down like part of the way. He also like Joe Biden is supposed to speak at his funeral when he dies. And he was one of those weird names they put up for us while they were painting his statue gold again in Georgia. And it was kind of right after or around the Georgia Guidestones, actually, when they were destroyed. I feel like that they started to like prep us for the Jimmy Carter death, but he's still not dead. So I'm like, what are they saving this for? Because I just do think they do everything on dates.
I want to really know is what do they get? What like I don't want to know. Like I really don't want to know, but like I kind of want to know like what the fuck goes on with a human being while they're killing somebody. What how do they feel after? And in the long run, does it do anything to them? Are they feeling some sort of pleasure? Are they gaining some kind of life force? Is there something magical that happens behind all of that? If they're doing it in a serial killer style and they keep going and there's no remorse, I don't want to say something is wrong because obviously something's wrong, but there's something else there. Like what, like I want to know, but I don't want to know. Because the way you know is actually becoming a killer, and I don't want to become a killer to know, but
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, go
Go
on.
ahead. Go ahead, Chaney. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking there's so many different kinds of killings. Like
Right.
and passion killings and all those kind of things are so different, or even like killing because somebody hurt something you love, than the idea of a serial killer. Like I don't know how much of us are pushed to this idea of killing, but I don't think serial killers are real.
why cereal?
That's what I was started to look into, but then the soap opera thing kind of blew my mind. Like it made me feel like, are they giving us an episodic murder? You're getting it's more than one. So you can tune in every week to the news in your local town and follow it, or get the fear wave of it, like War of the Worlds. I don't know.
I get that. But there has to be something that goes on within a human when they're doing whatever they're doing. Like you can hear in that so-called Podesta video, these little kids crying and screaming while he's doing whatever he's doing to them. And they're like, like loving it. And it's like, I don't understand that. I don't want to understand that. But that's just a little piece, little taste of what actually goes on behind closed doors. They talk about the other guy, Kevin Spacey, like he's the worst of the worst of them. Like people don't even want to be around him when they're on our friend's island. You know?
I don't know.
They don't
I
want to
sometimes feel like, what news do we trust? So it's like these perverts that rip faces off kids are like, he's too bad. He's too gross for even us. I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like different versions of like just like a tie in the knot. It's like how BlackRock owns Vanguard and Vanguard owns BlackRock. It's just like somewhere it's like dead ends meet at different shadow operations, maybe on each other.
I think that I mean, not to be too crude as Hillary Clinton here, but it's almost like you go to a sushi restaurant, right? And if you're a brand new newcomer, you don't get like the chef's exotic special that's got like, like the sea urchin and like the shrimp, and like there's things that usually you have to work yourself up to. and I think that might be part of it. So once you kind of like have tried all of the yellowtail and you've tried the tuna over and over and over again, eventually it's like, I'm going to try that sea urchin this time. And I think that might be the difference where you might have some kind of like psychos where they're just kind of experimenting again, and in my opinion it's usually like the poor serial killers. If you're a rich serial killer, like you can actually afford to go to like the equivalent of a really nice sushi place, and not just like the expensive place in town. I'm talking about when like 20 people get together and give a restaurant like 30 grand to have an all night all course meal. Like it's a private event just for them.
Yeah.
And usually there's ping pong and music there involved.
Ping pong.
What do you
And
think,
ice cream.
Michelle? If you want to chime in on any of this.
No, yeah. I think that with the serial killer thing and the reaction and what they do, it's like an emotional based thing. So it like really depends a lot on their childhood. That's what I've learned, like studying some of them. A lot of them have pretty undesirable things happen during childhood, whether it be abuse or abandonment or, whatever, being in juvie and then in jail and prison all the way up until you're like in your 30s or something. You like grow up in the institution basically. So I think there's like big emotional aspects to it. And I think I think a lot of it is control, because maybe at some point in their life they felt like they didn't have control, or someone told them they didn't have control or something like that, and there could be like compartmentalization shit. That's what I think of with it. That's why I think if it's MK Ultra stuff, it would work so well, because you're working with somebody who's gone through massive trauma, and that's when you can like get into someone's subconscious and you can program them in different ways. That's why they torture people and do all sorts of weird shit to do experiments and crack open the consciousness with drugs or like whatever. So that's what I think of when I think of this kind of stuff.
So do you think that some do it for pleasure and some actually do it for ritual magic and to gain something?
Yeah, I could see the
Some
case for
do it
both for sure.
money, some sell body parts, some is it just a whole realm in itself, that whole fucking realm? It's just like different
Compartmentalization,
yeah.
different levels of perversion, different
Yeah.
levels. I think some things like deities come into, but some things are just like puppets for the deities.
That's it.
And some energies of different gods that you look up, they don't crave blood. Some of them crave fame. Some of them crave like acknowledgement. Some of them want their name written everywhere. Some of them want a day named after them.
Yep.
Like,
Very true. Very
I
true.
think there's all sort of levels to energies that maybe exist in this realm that people think. I mean, the Zodiac killer was interesting. But then
Yeah.
you don't know how much of that is like, you look into the serial killer's psyche a little bit with how some of them had the way they would communicate with the police, because this is another thing that they all put on them, is they want the accolades for this eventually. Like they want somebody to know their face eventually. So I always think it's funny how the serial killers always become like, boom, we see their face everywhere. Netflix documentaries, this, that, the other thing. But when there's a school shooter every time, they're like, we don't want to show you their picture. They always like play that dance with us for a few hours. We don't want to give an honor to the school shooter, until one of them releases it. And then they're all like, hurry up, put that out.
Yeah.
But the serial killers, they're like, look at these hunks. This is such a good looking serial killer.
What's the fascination? Why do they always have like girlfriends? And how do these serial killers rope people in from like Charlie Manson's been married, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty
How
sure he
many
was
times?
married. And then he had multiple children. So, so they say, with a lot of the women that were around. But I think Charlie was like kind of like he was a pimp and a criminal, and he was running drugs and weapons and automobiles, and I think he was hooked up with the mafia somehow. But I think he was like maybe not like an errand boy for the mafia, but that kind of thing and he kind of ended up being that for the system, for the CIA, for the FBI, for the whole like the legal system of our country. You know, the judicial system. Sorry, excuse me. Judicial
Yeah.
system.
No.
There you go.
Judy.
Yeah.
His
That
story
damn
touches
Judy
everything.
system.
You know who was
So
who I found was involved was Angela Lansbury's daughter or son was one of Charlie's followers or something, and she had to come back to LA to rescue her and take her out of the country or something. Have you heard this story?
Yeah, because she's the one that was in what's the show? It was like a super famous show back in
Murder
the
She
day.
Wrote.
Murder She Wrote.
Yeah, Murder She Wrote. Yes. Yeah,
Also
totally.
the original Gaslighter.
Ah.
She
Dude.
also has bedknobs and broomsticks.
That's right. One of the
Oh.
only Disney movies that have the H guy.
are all killers a
A little
product?
mustache.
Are all killers a product of trauma? Are all of them a product of trauma?
I don't know if you could say all, I don't know, but I think like quite a bit of it could influence it. But we, you know,
But it's in
I don't know.
everybody, though.
Right. We all have trauma, you know. So I think it's also how the person deals with it or like what tools they have or that what they've developed, you know, to deal with something like that. It's like because
Okay.
it's like all how you react to something, right? It's like not actually the situation. It's usually how do you react to it, and then that will kind of like open up the doors for other opportunities, kind of thing. That's how I feel about it.
Or is it abuse? Not trauma or abuse. I don't think the word is right. I know there's a perfect word for this.
It could even be neglect, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so neglect is probably the top form of abuse that doesn't even get treated because it's the hardest thing to it's the hardest thing to prove.
So what is it in a person that will make them want them to like kill? Because
I was-
I've been traumatized, but I don't want to kill anything. I've been abused, but I don't want to kill anything.
I don't know. I knew a boy when I was younger who froze his cat. Like, I know for a fact he's like grown up to be he's gonna murder people.
I've
Damn.
His brother told me about it, and it's like when he called him out, it was like, "No, don't tell her that." And I was like, "Oh my god, you froze your cat?" And he was like, "Yeah,
It's weird.
That's brutal.
yeah."
Can
And
you-
well, he had explained though. He said that, well, it was an accident. I didn't mean to. And I'm like, what was the accident part? That it died? Like, how do you accidentally put your cat in a freezer?
Wow.
Interesting.
Do you think, you know, nature nurture? Do you think kids could be born killers? Like natural born killers?
Hell yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that killer instinct. I don't know if you guys seen the movie Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson. It was supposed to be a Quentin Tarantino movie. He was supposed to direct it too, but Oliver Stone, you know, was a bigger name in like the script, so ends up taking it and Oliver Stones it up. And so I always wonder what kind of movie it would have been in Quentin's hands. Like I almost
Oh,
wish he would
yeah.
have taken one more shot. I would love if he remade that movie the way he saw it.
I will
yeah.
say this. I think kids are born pure. Unless you're taking my medicine and injecting them the day they're born, then you're going to think they're born that way and psychotic and whatever. So how about we just not vaccinate our children for a little while and just see how your child turns out? Because I feel like this guy right here is the biggest problem of the world. Pharmakia, this black sorcery shit, is what's poisoning people's hearts, minds, and souls and changing their DNA and changing their existence and who they are as an individual. So I think that everyone's born pure with a pure heart and pure intentions, and then shit comes and happens along the way. Get your booster.
You don't think anyone's born a predator?
I don't think so. I think you're taught that. I think everything as a kid, you're in wonder, but then something happens where either your mom, your dad, somebody, uncle, cousin, neighbor, something traumatizes you and it makes you not want to. It changes you. It's influence. Nothing's free will, really.
Do you think that, like, so even in the ritual of, let's say we were both blackout drunk, or I was a murderer, or we just had no intention in our life, in whatever way you want to mix that together, we are still 100% of the time going to have a pure vessel, even with bum DNA.
You think?
I don't
Well, the
know.
bum DNA would just be epigenetics. So it could have, okay. So that gets into genetics versus epigenetics, because genetics, really, we think that they're to blame for almost every disease and everything that's wrong, or it runs in my family, but it's not genetic. It has nothing to do with your genes. They're epigenetic markers. So it's something that one of your ancestors flicked on. It's a light switch that they turned on. That's a marker on a certain strand of your DNA that causes that to happen. So then it's on for the rest of the family until somebody does something to switch it off. That's how epigenetics works. So almost every disease and almost every infliction and every bum knee that runs in the family, they're all epigenetic. They're not genetic. They're not
Okay.
in your genes.
What about this idea? Do you know how they say like a liger is bigger than a tiger or a lion because to breed them, it has to go so far back in the DNA where they would relate that it comes out with saber tooth size. So that makes a liger. Do you think, let's say I come from a long line of samurai and you come from a long line of knights, and our people just in the last 100 years haven't had to use these skills, but we open up that in each other because we're so far apart. It has to go so far back in our bloodline, it has to liger. So a natural born killer instinct, does it always have to be a bad thing if you were protecting the losers of history?
Yeah. Okay. So that would be more along the lines of natural born killer, but natural born killer can be good or bad depending on nature versus nurture.
Well,
What's
we
nurtured.
have almost set up society to be deer. We assume ourselves as prey. We
Yeah.
don't kill. But what if we have tigers amongst us where there aren't necessarily serial killers, or they aren't soldiers, or they aren't prisoners? What if there are people with natural instincts to kill that have to turn it off every day?
Or it doesn't even have to be an instinct to kill, but what about not like being apathetic about it? Like where, like imagine if you you found your kid just like dissecting animals, and you have to tell them, "Hey, no, you don't do this," and
Or
they
freezing
don't
a
just
cat.
inherently think that it's a bad thing or feel bad about it
Yeah.
when they hear something in pain or like see the end results, because that kind of thing exists too. Like it's not quite autism, but autism is sometimes an example of not taking social cues or like facial expressions, sometimes being nonverbal, not having the types of reactions that you'd expect normally. If you just keep taking that farther and farther, like if like the kid that's doing the dissections, it might not be out of malice. It might just be like, oh, I just wanted to see how this worked. And then to me, that's almost creepier, because at least if there was like an intent, you'd almost be able to peel back and find out the reason. But if the reason is, I was just curious how this bird worked, so I took it apart, you know what I mean? Like, but and
And
that
a
feels way
function.
more realistic to me.
I think that probably like that discovery part where there's certain things that are put on us where we're like that's weird in society, but would it have been weird 1,000 years ago in a tribe if
Or
we're all
Benjamin
eating the
Franklin doing it in
yeah.
his basement with bodies, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, how did
It's
you draw the inside of this body?" It's like, you don't know how
trust
many
the
bodies I've been inside
science.
of.
Trust the science.
Yeah, trust the science.
Listen to my friend Dr. Fauci over there, right? Very accurate.
It's in the name of science. Trust the science.
Trust the science.
Well, because there's even the idea that a lot of us, yes, we all know we're being poisoned this as well, and this is another reason. But that the people that were always the bigger ones in society would have been the ones, 1,000 years ago in the tribe that would have kept all of us survive because their instinct to feed would have been bigger than everybody else's in the tribe. And so they would have been like, no, we need more berries for the winter. No, we need more meat. No, we need to salt more stuff. We need to blank, 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 blank. They would have been the cautious ones that would have led the hunts, that would have led the picking, that then now we have no need for that because you just go to the store and everything's so quick. So it's like almost all these things now, it could killing ever be the same as all these other things we consider bad? Or is thou shalt not kill? Because that's only a Abrahamic thing. Sometimes a killing's righteous and it's in the name of the betterment of the herd in some
Right.
cultures.
Honestly, if they're taking bodies that are dead and they're opening them up, cool. If they're already dead and you want to see how things work, cool. If it's dead already, it's dead. But if you're killing things, that's different. I that's how I view it. Killed versus death. Do it while it's dead.
I'm pretty sure
While
that
it's
was
alive.
Benjamin Franklin's excuse too for all the bodies. They're already dead.
They're already dead.
No, I
As
mean-
Abby's typing, yeah. Let me see. Rink. I was like, what is that sound? Oh, that is the
Mine's right by my
It's the fingernails. That's the
Dr.
type with like loud.
Fauci's
ASMR, baby.
fingernails.
ASMR.
I know. I was like, what is that?
It's a
I thought
quiet
it was
keyboard,
like-
but not when you have like to peck them out.
What were you talking about?
About dead bodies,
So weird.
death,
Look at
life. I mean, dead or alive, killer. I mean,
You can only
killer.
figure out so much from a dead body, though. Like there was so many advances in science when they found that they could make a fistula in the side of a cow and like stick things in it and see how they dissolved and how it reacted to like the stomach acids. And the second the animal's dead, like all of that doesn't really happen. Like those biological processes don't really happen the same way. And us being able to observe it in real time with a live animal was like monumental. So I mean, I feel like too that if you do it out of pleasure, it would be different out of doing it out of indifference, right? But the killing is still the same. And when it comes down to like legal or moral issues, it always comes down to intent. But intent's such a weird thing to me because it's like if you intended to kill one person, is that worse than if you accidentally killed 10 people? And morally and legally, usually the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Like if you premeditated a murder versus you accidentally caused manslaughter 10 different times, it's a completely different sort of like stigma and a set of legal, ramifications that would come after you based on those two things.
This is what I know. Dr. Fauci and I, for the past I don't know how many years, have turned the United States into an insane asylum. Do you not see what's going on to our country right now? Do you not see what's going on, guys? It's epigenetics. Everything is this thing right here is the problem with everything. It's the highest form of magic. Aluminum, mercury, cells of swine, cells of a cow, cells of a fucking snake, XYZ. Stir it all up. You want to drink that motherfucker? I will never. But we inject that shit into us. We inject it into little newborn babies, vitamin K right on the eyes. And then they wonder, why is my child not smiling anymore? Why is my child always cranky and crying?
Is it
and
okay to
screaming?
kill to eat?
I mean, we do it.
Yeah.
We kill animals.
Yeah,
Some
it's-
people do.
Yeah.
Some people consider it morally wrong.
It kind of low key is.
You're
Is
still
it?
killing plants too, though. And plants are
Plants are alive.
they're alive.
You're
Yeah.
still killing something.
And they communicate
actually
with
eat
each
'em.
other.
They're
You eat
smart.
them alive. If you eat raw vegetables, you're like literally eating it alive.
And they don't want to be eaten, apparently. Supposedly. That's what they say.
And honey might not want to be touched.
Cows
So-
are
Who's
really
honey?
hard to eat alive. So
wait, but
How do you eat
you
an
have to-
elephant?
how do you? Yeah.
One bite at a time.
So this is just all a psyop, right? And they created all of this because the animal kingdom is not saying, "Hey God, am I allowed to eat that animal over there?" And here we are saying, "Oh my God, we're not allowed to eat this. Oh my God, God this. Oh my God, God that. Punish this, sin this." So it's like, what's the truth here? Are we the most inorganic beings on this planet? Where do we come from? Where do we go? Where do we come from? Where do we go? Where do we come?
Like if everyone besides Michelle
Uh-huh.
were in a room and you had 5 bullets in a gun, is that an unjust killing?
I'm
Wait,
confused.
repeat that.
So if Bill Gates and Jim Jones and Hillary Clinton and Ted Kaczynski and Dr. Fauci are in a room and you have a gun with 5 bullets, and is that unjust or is that better for the world?
Are we playing Russian roulette?
No. You
Oh.
get to come in and you're the only one with a gun. You just get 5 clean shots. Is it better for the world? It is sometimes taking out one person better everything for the realm.
Does the ends justify the means?
Like sometimes is a killing just, or is this just an Abrahamic religion idea we have that thou shalt not kill? And so we can say there are wrong killings, but we've gotten to a place with the law of mostly killing is a thing, but then we justify it for animals, we justify it for some research, we justify it for makeup, we justify it for pets in our home, we justify it to eat off of them every day, even if we're just milking their tits and taking their eggs. Like, and that's just the things with the beating hearts. Like we justify the things in the sea have a little bit less, the things in the sky have a little bit less sentience. And, then we're like, oh, okay, we can eat Bill Gates meat. I don't know. It's like, at what point is the sentience of somehow with us, and then we allow something of the law, like some people, like pedophiles, what do we do with them? Can we just kill them? Can we study them? Can we cut their brains open and study them? Like
I'll
some,
volunteer.
Let's
like,
vaccinate them.
I know, but this is the things that it's just like sometimes there's a whole bunch of philosophy set up around certain things in our world
I get what you're saying.
that we just justify things in certain ways that are like comfortable to ourselves. But
Like
if
hypocrites.
but if we took ourselves back, even the like maybe we shouldn't eat meat. That might be okay if you don't live in the middle of the desert and the only thing your people can catch for 1,000 years is lizards in the ground.
Mm.
And the only water they drink is from cactus, and the only thing they get to give their whole entire people protein is that meat. So a lot of the times when people think of this idea of like veganism for the whole, well, that's fabulous, but there's a lot of people in the world that can't get that thing, or they are like, we should all go on all meat diets, like that Xanax addict that cries all the time. We Jordan Peterson. I'm like, we should all Jordan Peterson. Like, Jordan Peterson. Like, we should all go on meat diets. That's fantastic, but not everybody can get meat all the time. So I just think not maybe everyone should do anything all the time, and we're just
Agreed.
judging each other on everything.
Agreed. You do you, I'll do me. Period.
I don't know. But then is that true with killing?
There's an interesting dynamic on
Maybe.
that specifically about, and then we can tie it into killing. Is that like when the movie Bambi came out, there was like a whole push to like stop killing deer, stop hunters from killing deer. And if you actually look into this, it's such an interesting dynamic because deers really don't have any natural predators left. Like they used to get thinned out by wolves and other, mountain lions and stuff, but now deer, the only real natural thing that culls out the herd are humans. So if you were to imagine that nobody kills another deer ever again, that they don't get hit by cars, hunters don't shoot them, well, now these deer are going to start multiplying, and if they start multiplying, they eat a lot of produce. So if all of us are no longer eating deer and we're just eating produce, then we also have to share the produce with the deer, and then the deer keep multiplying. So at a certain point, you really will be competing against the deer for all of your natural resources, and they'll out eat you, and they'll keep reproducing way faster rate than you will. So I mean, there's almost like like in a weird, horrible way, there's like a justification to like thin out the herd in ways, and that's, I mean, it's following nature in some aspect, but
It
people
is.
think that we're like above that. And there's also something too on a completely different tangent. But you were mentioning like, where's that line? Where's that line in terms of like time period? So everyone knows that if I cause someone to die within an hour or like within a second, right, that's murder. And if it happens within an hour, within a day, like I'm the reason that they got murdered. But if it takes me like 20 years to kill somebody, like that's kind of acceptable. Like, right? We can all kind of
Like
point at
guillotine
things
and
that
stuff.
take decades to kill you, but it's still the thing that killed you, but no
The
one's responsible
additives
for
in
that.
food
So
and
like,
stuff. Yeah.
where's the exact spot on a timeline where you're like, okay, all of this is illegal, all this is killing, but if you do it right there, then nobody is at fault. Then it's like your fault for doing it that long.
Hillary, you're right. It's almost like it's like tears to killing, and I feel like there's magic into this that they don't want to tell humans about what it is to kill a human that's magical about it. So when you think about it, the highest of the high, they can kill as many people as they want. You don't even know their names, and they could just go on about killing. And then we have the military. Then we have the police. Like they have the authority to kill, but when it comes to us, we're the ones, like just normal people, we're the ones who are not allowed to kill because we'll get our asses put in jail or get the death penalty. So it's like, why is it only the people that can, well, here we can technically defend ourselves, but like because we have an amendment, but it's like a tier to killing. And I feel like it's literally tied to some kind of magic that they don't want us to know, some kind of life force, power, energy that they don't want us to know. You gain something out of that. What exactly? I don't know. But that's my thoughts on that. The tears to killing.
There must be.
Yeah, for sure.
What flavor face are you eating right now, Jim?
Red 40.
Oh my god.
I keep saying purple flavor, and I did look for it everywhere today. I decided to go with the dual killer, though, with the red 40. Not that blue isn't just as killer. I remember when that blue color came into our zeitgeist.
Remember before M&M's had the blue? Because
Yep.
they brought back blue before they brought back red, because the red died, causing cancer. But then, do you remember there used to be a light brown? There was a light brown and a dark brown M&M.
I remember
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yellow, orange, green, light brown, dark brown.
Now that you mention it, so racist they took that away.
It's kind of
And put it-
redundant giving
I like
a
him.
chocolate thing a brown candy shell. I don't know.
thought
It seems like
so.
a waste of color.
It was like
Yeah.
dark chocolate and light chocolate. I don't know. What were we talking about before the chocolate thing?
Tears to killing.
I wish I smoked cigarettes
Really?
sometimes because I like it with my sunglasses and my Jim Jones
Yeah,
like used to have
really
cigarettes,
cool.
but I keep
Yeah.
smoking joints, and then I'm like, whoo, I'm getting myself litty titty.
You,
Uh-huh.
I'm so glad I have glasses on right now.
I feel too cool.
Oh, I'm smoking just like in school.
look
I
at
wanted
it.
to look cool and smoke cigarettes.
Cool
I want to look
kids.
cool and steal my mom's cigarettes. I don't know if you guys ever did that shit. Were you guys obsessed with all the serial killers, Michelle, or were you guys like obsessed with certain serial killers?
I guess I was never really obsessed with any of them, but I've been fascinated by a few of them. Yeah.
Like Manson?
Yeah, definitely Manson, but I don't look at him as like a serial killer actually. I think he's more of I think he probably killed people, but I think it was more for survival stuff and defending himself. Not that he was innocent by any means, but I think like there was just a lot of situations where, like we were talking about earlier, he is running drugs and people and objects, and so there's times where you have to like kill somebody because there's all those things involved. That's what it adds up to me. Like there's a lot of that because it's interesting. I think he's just like kind of the fall guy for a cover up that took place.
Because he was like besties with a lot of people, right? Didn't he hang out with a lot of famous people and like jam out and create
Oh, yeah.
music, man?
Yep, and like I think that they were probably up in the Hollywood scene and the music scene because of what his business was, which was drugs and women and all the stuff. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, basically, I feel like, you know. And I think that's why he was friends with all these people, because it seems to me that it's like a cover up for the snuff films being filmed in Hollywood. And I think Polanski and all the people had a lot to do with it. And I think it was drugs and experimentation of drugs, and maybe even like having some sort of experiments set up for certain people. So
What about like MK Ultra?
I could see, yes,
Like
definitely.
him being like small scale version of what him being kind of a victim of experiments, and then what he could get away with, like with small cult ideas and get people. Can I get the small group of people to kill? Could we do it on bigger scales?
Right,
many-
yeah.
How many of us are MK Ultra like in here? Like, is because we know that Uncle Ted was.
We went through boot camp.
You know who's a very interesting killer? King
Who?
James. Serial
Does that
killer.
count? Do kings count?
He's a fucking killer. He killed lots of women. Lots of women because he was jealous.
Well, if we're not going to count kings, then we probably shouldn't count God either with the whole flood thing, right?
But was that God? Was that a story? Was that real?
Well, it exists in every religion,
Yeah.
right?
Every
Or-
culture too.
Truths.
Or because there is this conspiracy of how people in the past knew how to kind of run the veins of the water tunnels or the water veins in certain directions so they can cause certain floods to happen. There's this whole conspiracy. I don't
Oh,
know.
they said the Phoenicians used to like drain certain swamplands and put the water somewhere else because the swamplands would be so fertile underneath that they could grow anything there. And that they're one of the people that figured out like a crazy canaling system. I think. But that's who gets credit for it.
Yeah. God did it.
But have you got down like with the idea that it maybe the water never receded, like it just kept getting more and more and more and more, like if the earth is expanding? Because I don't know, does anyone in this room believe in Pangea?
Pangea.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I
Kinda.
could be sold
I
on
mean,
it.
kind of.
I don't really know what
For-
it is.
Expanding Earth.
Looks like a
Yeah, you should.
And plate
Yeah, like that
tectonics.
all the
I'll pull it
countries
up.
were one big landmass, and then over time it split up, and then like Australia split out and became its own thing, and Europe became its own thing, and Africa. But Pangea was when all the land was like smushed together in one place, and the rest of the globe was entirely water.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. Whoa, okay.
I'm pulling it up
The
a
Hopis,
Pangea
that's how
map
the
right now.
Hopi started. Everyone was all together on one land, and then everything split, and everyone was separated.
And I think it was just a convenient explanation for how the similar species had like root ancestors, but on so far parts of the world. They would just say like, oh, they all just kind of like started in the same place, and then an earthquake happened, and they all separated, and that's why you've got the same species in two different land masses.
Interesting.
This could be highly probable.
So yeah, that's how they say everything was attached, and then everything floated away from each other on walking rocks that just want to go to another part of the world. They just turn liquid underneath and then float these huge land masses to other places on this globe.
Yeah, they pull up the anchors and they just kind of drift and they put the anchor back down.
It's wild to me. It's such a wild concept. I believe kind of in this, but I think the planet realm was smaller. And at one point, there was no water. I think the water somewhere is life, the the like more of it. And as the globe realm plane got bigger, whatever it is, the lands moved further away from each other. but I feel like water would have to be let in from the waters above and the waters below for that to happen. But if the gods said they would never flood us again, I don't know.
Why do we have floods?
I don't know.
Well, on a
Isn't-
mass scale. Because
Go
that's
on.
what the rainbow is. The rainbow is God's promise. So that's why it's funny that it's become like the whole LGBTQ thing. Because it's God's promise to never again destroy the earth by water, by a flood. He put his bow in the sky. I mean, I should know the Bible verse as a rainbow girl, and that's what the whole premise is. But
That's interesting.
Mhm.
I've never heard that. I don't know much about the Bible, honestly.
the rainbow is God's promise. It's in Genesis. It's to never again. He put his bow in the sky, so. Like as a rainbow girl, if you're ever feeling like scared, or whatever, you're supposed to open your Bible to Genesis, whatever it is, and like leave your Bible open to that when you go to sleep.
Ah,
About the rainbow.
So you're supposed to leave it open so you like absorb it, like Edgar Casey or something.
You're probably supposed to read it. You're supposed to read it,
Oh,
and then
okay.
it's supposed to like give you comfort.
Okay. I was
Yeah,
just
now I'm
trying
just thinking about the Reading Rainbow
Maybe
opening
we're
where it's the
trying to train
book
you
and
guys
like the
for something
rainbow
else.
comes out.
oh
Are they
yeah.
just opening up Genesis?
Probably.
Rainbow.
If
I could fly
you
in the sky,
ain't
I
could go twice as high.
Take a look. It's in a book, a reading rainbow.
You guys are singing too good.
I know it was kind of. Usually it's hard on stream, but I'm like, I like the way this one lines up pretty well. I'm
You
like,
guys are-
oh,
You guys are killing it.
We sound pretty good, Shane.
Reading Rainbow is a weird show. We don't have to get off topic. That's a murder in itself. That's a killing field.
Oh, indeed.
I miss those days though.
Reading Rainbow. Yeah. What other murder shit did you look up? Tell me some killing stuff.
What about Ed Gein?
Isn't he like the
H.H.
original House of Horrors?
The original, almost everything. He was like the original House of Wax. He was the original Psycho. He was the original Texas. Well, maybe not entirely Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but he's the guy that would take people apart and like make lampshades and make like all kinds of weird stuff out of them. And it's kind of one of those people I was talking about before too, where it didn't seem like it was out of malice or out of any sort of weird like power play struggle. He was just like, I wonder what that person would look like as a lamp. And then he went and actually found out exactly what they look like as a lamp.
Which you almost wonder if a lot of the like ancient kings, god kings, deity, whatever people were worshiping weren't trying to do the exact same things.
Well, there's a creepy story about Rene Descartes where he believed that animals were just, he called them mechanical animals, I believe. And he said that they didn't have souls, and that even when they were, you know, struggling or screaming or like protesting in pain, that it was just part of like their programming. That's just how the mechanics worked. So he would go around in public torturing dogs to make this case, and he didn't make it very strongly because people just saw this weirdo torturing dogs in public. But like the
Like
ability to be able to
Westworld.
do that and convince yourself that, you know, this thing is screeching out in pain, but I don't worry about it. I think that like whatever that feeling is something that Ed Gein never had to like force himself to feel, just like Descartes never really felt it about animals. He just felt like there were just these things on the planet that moved around and made noises the same way. Like I wouldn't mind if, you know, I saw you beating up like a robot, right? Like an android. So, but I mean, there's probably people out there that if they saw you, like what was that movie Ex Machina, where the guy starts like abusing the robots and the androids, and in real life, I remember talking about that movie with people like, I can't believe they were like mistreating and like almost killing some of those androids. I'm just thinking like if you paid for it, why not? But I guess at like certain high levels, right? It's like if I paid for it, why can't I do whatever I want with it?
That's totally Westworld, where it's like, oh, you can't hurt another human in the park, but the robots, you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And then if the robots become sentient, what if? And if there's no idea of that, if you want to rinse the idea that robots can ever become sentient out, if they can convince people that they're sentient, that's just as good. And so then if people have this idea that I can't kill that thing, I can't hurt that thing gets an equal right as me. There has to be computer rights. And it doesn't matter if it's sentient or not, as long as they can convince us it is.
How would you feel if you found out that, like, on the weekends I went to a Westworld style place where I just killed robots that looked like humans and I came back? Would that be weird that I'm out killing things that look like humans even though they definitely are not humans?
That's a
Would that-
tough
would-
one.
Because
Would
you
that-
kind of
like if I told you, like,
have the
oh man, I
fantasy of
stabbed
killing
someone to
humans,
death this
doesn't it?
weekend.
Yeah, that seems like psychotic to me.
So what if it's just a video game and it's virtually done on, like, my couch?
I do that a lot. Shit.
Yeah. And what if it's in VR and now I got like a VR knife and I do it? Like, at what
I've done
point,
that in
again, on that sliding scale, at what point it's like, okay, like, I'm not gonna hang out with you anymore. Maybe you should see somebody.
Dude. Oh, bro. Yo.
I love this is what we used to do in philosophy circles in college, is just eventually, like, if you have any one thing that you think is this true thing of yourself, sometimes it's just like we're all doing the thing, whatever the thing is, whatever
all-
the thing we are anti, we're doing that thing to some level,
Yeah.
whatever energetic thing it is. And
all a
so that's
spectrum.
it's just everything's like a sliding scale of like, okay, one killing with a flag behind you is fine. One killing in the name of science, okay. One killing because you walk in on your husband in bed with another woman, not okay.
True.
Not okay.
Yeah,
Holy
it's just like we
shit.
have these weird sliding scales.
Right.
Whoa.
Killer. On that note, you guys, I'm gonna say goodnight. I'm
Good night,
getting
Michelle.
sleepy.
Michelle,
Thank you
you're
Thanks
so
for hanging,
awesome.
Michelle.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Michelle.
That was really
being
Thanks for
fun.
hanging out.
Can you
Thank you for having me. This was awesome. I really fucking liked our conversation.
I
do
so.
too.
I love the costume
tell
too.
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
where to find you?
Just go to michelleshealinghome.com. We just redid the revamped the website and stuff and opened an online shop, which is awesome. So yeah, you can just find me there. That's
What
the
kind of
best
stuff
way.
do you have on your online shop?
Right now I have soap. I have a salt soap, and I'm gonna have some deodorant up and tooth powder. What else do I have? Elderberry syrup right now as well. So that's all on the store. It's super exciting to have an online store. I haven't had one in a long time, and it's so much easier. Like, I was doing everything by email. So just email correspondence back and forth, and then send me your address. Then I'll send you your shipping price and blah, blah. Now it's just like, if you want to order it, you can just go click, order it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is why businesses do this. So anyway, it's like, I like remembered, so it's cool. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Chaney.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so everyone
Yeah.
can go to your store and your blog and your newsletter, classes about, and you have an awesome show on YouTube that you're up to, and it
Yeah.
has all sorts of different content on it, and you go into how you make some of this stuff and what you grow to make it, and all different what herbs are medicinally good for us, and then spiritually good for us, which I think is really cool. So I had her on a killer show, but her show is entirely different than that. You can see by the website. But you talk about cool stuff like Manson. That's why I was like, I knew you'd be down. And then you shared that you were also born on Friday the 13th. So it was
Yeah, that's
perfect.
cool.
Oh, I missed that. That's so cool.
Mm.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. And I although I have the herbal side and stuff, I feel like my heart resides in these subjects though, because I feel like I learned about herbalism and started learning about all of the effed up shit going on kind of at the same time. So I feel like I always wanted to blend the two. And I can remember telling like another herbalist friend of mine years ago, like, you know what I'd love to do is like blend the truther information or just the esoteric information with herbalism. And like in the mainstream herbalist community, it's harder to get that. It's very liberal and very like closed-minded, but comes off as open-minded, right? And there's a lot of like woo-woo stuff. And I like the woo, don't get me wrong. But I think there's just like a lot of wounded healers walking around and like kind of like there's like a lot of ego or something. But
Yeah.
there's ego everywhere,
Yeah.
you know? But seeing the fuckery of the world and then with the plants coming in, it was like, whoa, this is awesome. It's almost like a solution to the fuckery in its own way. So
Alchemy.
that's how I like to look at it too. Because it's like an alternative to all the fucked up shit that we're offered. I like kind of like the band-aid solutions and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's about taking like personal responsibility, I think, because you have to like pay attention. And if you're wanting to like harvest something and grow something and like learn it from the ground up, you just have to be focused. And I think a lot of people like have lost focus. And I think that they want us to lose focus. So we have all this shit thrown at us all the time. And then they invert stuff. And it's just, wow. So yeah, major fascination.
You're awesome.
Yeah, you're
Aw,
awesome, and you're
thank you.
welcome to obviously hang out with the good guys anytime you want to.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. Thank
And
you.
so
Yeah.
for everyone,
And Thomas,
Such an awesome
dude, you
vibe.
had Dana Duda. Oh my God, she's awesome. Rotting Jewels.
I mean, I just
I'm
found her
gonna have
from
her on
looking
my-
for Jolly West videos. So yeah, I was immediately hooked.
Yeah, she's great. I'm actually going to interview her on Halloween. We're going to talk about the process because the process church or the final judgment, she has undug some shit that I mean, I've been looking into the Manson stuff, process, the 60s, you name it, whatever, for like a decade. So I've just been in, it's a fascination of mine. And she started digging up this stuff on the process that's linking them to Scientology and all sorts of stuff. So it's really
She
interesting.
mentioned LDS when I talked to her.
Yeah,
That's that I want to go like way deep on because I mean I'm just the aesthetic visual images that come up when I think about the Process Church and the Latter-day Saints. I mean there's something wild there.
Yeah, I think they're way more, and when I say they, I mean the process, way more linked up to shit than we know, and it's probably so fucking deep, and I think that's why it's been covered up so much. And she's like talking about if people are familiar with it, a guy named Ed Sanders wrote a book called The Family, and this was back in like I don't know, maybe the 70s or something, and he was the first person to actually talk about the connection with the process and all the weird shit that was going on. And he actually got sued by the process later, and they made him take that out of the book. And he kind of got smeared a little bit as like, oh yeah, that wasn't true. That was just like adding to the satanic panic thing. So, you know, the process was a thing, yes, but you don't need to like really worry about it too much.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, and she's dug up all this stuff of like basically confirming what Ed Sanders wrote, but finding it in like FBI files and court documents
Really?
and shit, where it's like, yeah, so it really is that. So there's a smear campaign against him, and then what do you know? The whole time he was right, and he like laid it down, and that's why they sued him because they're like, you better shut up, and you got to take that section out of your book, and if you don't, we'll probably kill you. So.
I think it's Manson, and well, it'll have to be next time. We'll have to do like cults or something one night.
Yeah,
because I
dude.
think
Yeah.
this
Yes.
is just one level of them starting this MK Ultra experiment, and then I think they break it off into all these facets that become all of these other LDS, become Scientology, because we have Going Clear, we have the process, we have the secret over here, which eventually becomes Nexium. Like all of these little things are all just the same kind of MK Ultra ideas and ways to program people. And so they all end up with their own little celebrities. They all got their different quadrant of the planet. They all got their maritime ships. It's just a whole wild dance that I think they're all attached, and you just find the link between them.
Yeah, I would agree. And, you know, with Manson, like, and the MK Ultra or the programming, I think it's so there. And dude, I want to see if I have it in here. Hold on a second. Oh yeah. Okay. So this book right here is called Reflection. It's by Lynette Fromm, and she's one of the girls or women that was with the family. And she was kind of like not like Charlie's right-hand man necessarily, but she was probably one of the first girls
If you
that
want to hold
started.
it up again, I put you
Oh
bigger.
yeah. Okay, it's called Reflection by Lynette Fromm. So this book is like basically kind of like her diary entries of meeting Charlie. It was her, this other woman named Mary, and Charlie, and they were the ones that like traveled around in the early times of meeting Charlie. So 67 it was, and she just tells the story of it. And there's an instance in here. I almost don't want it to be a spoiler, but basically, just to explain it, there's just like things she talks about where she saw Charlie like get triggered. Like there was a flip in his personality after they visited a particular person, and his parole officer allowed him to go see that person and said, "Oh, it would be good for Charlie to do this." And she tells the story of going to this doctor's place in Washington State, and it was like a former psychologist that was in one of the prisons that he was in. And she said that at that moment, she says it in the book, like, I saw parts of Charlie that people knew him for, like in the media. So basically alluding to she saw a change in him of like there was some sort of like darker force that came through, and his
What was his
compassion was
official?
gone.
What was his official diagnosis that we know now? What do they call him? Is he like paranoid schizophrenic?
I don't even know. I don't even know if I've even heard him be referred to as that. I think he's just
We
looked
just
at
call
as like
him
a mass
blanketly
murderer.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like
he's a
he's
mass
just
murderer, cult leader guy, you know, where
Narcissist.
interesting.
it's very interesting that goddamn. I mean, the moment I started reading about it, and then when I learned about like Laurel Canyon and all that stuff, Dave McGowan, and learning about the music scene in that time and how many of these musicians have ties to the military and they're like military brats essentially who are kind of like set up to run shit. And then Manson stuff came through and I'm like, holy moly, this is like all connected, you know, so deeply. So it's fascinating, man.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're welcome anytime, and thank you for coming.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Happy
Michelle.
Friday the 13th. Friday the
Happy Friday
14th,
the
wherever you're at.
Happy Friday.
Okay, later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime.
It was fun.
Later.
Yeah, it was
Hell yeah.
great.
I wish I had play out music. It'll come eventually. We'll have bumpers. If you ever check out her channel too, she runs clean production. I always like her ins and outs. I like her thank you that she has for all her supporters. She has good screens that come up. She has it all preset and clean, and I respect it. So yeah, check out Michelle's Healing Homes. Let me move myself over.
She's
so
a great
Layla's
energy.
face isn't under that. Perfect.
Oh, it was like this.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like it.
She's such a great energy.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's great.
And she's a wealth of knowledge on so many
Mhm.
different things. I'm like, oh, like some of the stuff that she talks about on her show, I'm like, oh, I have to have my wife tune into this. My wife actually doesn't watch a ton of podcasts, but she'll listen. She'll be like, turn it up when she's in the kitchen and Michelle's is on.
Yeah.
So what other killer shit you guys got to tell?
I got one for you guys.
I can't wait.
Okay, so let me take you back a few years. This is personal to me, actually. It starts with my son when he was 3. He was like a month away from turning 4, so he had pretty good conversation skills at this point. And he wakes up in the middle of the night and he is screaming bloody murder, and it's pitch dark in my room, and I start screaming because I'm like, I'm thinking somebody or something is hurting him, right? And he wakes up and I was like I finally get over to him. I was like, what's wrong? And he's like, it's Mr. Crew. Mr. Crew is in our house. Like, Mr. Crew. And I was like, what? And he was like, he was over there by the piano. He was like pointing where this person was. And I kept, the way he said it, I heard Mr. Crew. So I thought he was saying Mr. Crew. Okay. And then the way he explained him, he was like, yeah, he was standing there. He just, his mouth looked all weird. And he was just like, he said standing tense, and he was wearing black. Okay. All black. And he had a mask on. That's all that he told me. And like, he talked about it for days and days and days, like told everybody about Mr. Crew being in our house. So then at the time I was listening to this true crime comedy podcast called My Favorite Murder. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever listened to it. They ended up getting pretty woke, so I stopped listening to it. But this is like a month or two later, though. And I'm listening to the newest episode, and they're talking about this serial kidnapper / pedo from Australia in the 80s and 90s. Okay, I've never heard about him in the United States. And they said his name was Mr. Cruel, Cruel. And immediately, like, I was like, what the fuck? Is that possibly what he was saying? Because I had Googled Mr. Crew to see, like, what the heck was, maybe there was a Mr. Crew or something.
Yeah.
Because he was acting like it's a real person. So anyway, it ends up being like, I listened to it, they say Mr. Cruel, and like, I'm all of a sudden my heart's going like this because I'm like, oh, I need to hear this, right? And they explained that Mr. Cruel had a very distinctive balaclava, so ski mask, and it had like these weird let's see. Can I screen share real
I know
quick?
what you're talking about.
Yes, you can.
Thing is
Wait.
really
Hey,
creepy.
let me show you.
I
not that
remember
one.
this.
Yes, you
I
can bring
wanna show
anything
you.
you want to show and tell.
Do I not have? Okay. Share.
And then let me turn this little gig
That's
on.
not the picture I wanted,
Boom.
though. It's not the picture. I had it pulled up, but I must have.
Hit the
Oh, there it
wrong one.
is. Yeah, I hit the wrong one.
Here, I'll turn this off and you can share another one if you want.
Stop sharing. Okay.
We'll all
This-
get better at this part too. This digital magic.
There it is.
Bibbidi
Okay.
bobbidi boo.
So this, I finally see this, right? Because I'm listening to them talk about this. And anyway, this guy from Australia, I called him Mr. Cruel because he would break into people's houses while their like parents are home and everything. He would tell the mom and dad, hey, I'm tying you up. Like, he would break in with a gun and a knife, and he would say, you won't get hurt. I'm just robbing you. Don't try to fight me, and everything will be fine. So they would kind of like just listen to him. They'd let him tie him up. And then he takes the first child, like the daughter, and he molests her in the house with the parents home. Okay. And then he goes and uses the phone, and they hear him like calling and saying like, oh, like talking, like yelling at somebody and threatening like their child or whatever. So then he ends up leaving, and he gets this so they never made a phone call. No phone calls were ever made. He had cut the phone lines. None of that had ever happened. So it's total red herring. Well, he does it again, like 2 or 3 times. But every time that he does this to another family, like he ends up, instead of molesting the girl there in the house, he kidnaps them. He takes them away for 2 or 3 days, and then he molests them at his house. They wear a mask the whole entire time. And then before he releases them, because he releases them a couple days later, but before he releases them, there's 0 DNA evidence because he gives them a thorough bath, cuts their fingernails and their toenails, brushes and flosses their teeth, make sure that there's no DNA evidence whatsoever on them. And he puts them in like some kind of contraption on their neck, like around their neck, like in his bed, so he can do it. Anyways, so at this point, he's still not a killer, and he does like all this red herring shit. So these girls are masked, but they hear him having a conversation, but they never hear the other person that he's talking to. So anyway, then it comes to this little Asian girl, Carmine Chan, and this is where like I feel like is where it gets personal, because she actually was the last one that we know of, the last one of his victims, and she ended up with 3 bullets in her head, and they found her body 3 days later, or 3 years, or a year later, excuse me. So he was a killer, but they've never caught him. It's total cold case. And that girl, Carmine Chan, and one of the other victims went to the same school. So in my head, I'm like, this was a teacher. And they think that Carmine's mom thinks that the reason why she would have been killed is because she was the type who would have fought and maybe like pulled her mask off and looked in or knew too much. Like, what if she just recognized his voice?
So this is like close to home to you? Like,
This all happened in Australia, but my
oh, in
son
Australia.
saw this in the dream space. This is why I go on
Oh
about dreams and stuff.
shit!
It was like he experienced it, and then all of us. Okay, so this is okay. Let me finish the story then. So I'm listening to this episode, right? My heart's pounding. I'm driving it up to my driveway, and I finally like Google it, and I look up, and I see. I want to see his balaclava. I want to see the mask. So I see the mask, and I was like, "Oh shit! Do I go in and do I terrorize my child and show him this picture?" I was like, "I really want to do it." Like,
Did you?
I was so afraid that I'd traumatize him, though, right? So I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, I'm just gonna see what he does, right?" And I'm not gonna say anything. So I pull up the picture on my phone. I walk inside the house. It's like, "Hey," it was like, "Hey," and I was like, "I want to show you something." He was like, "Okay, what are you going to show me?" And I flip my phone, and he goes, "That's Mr. Crew. Mom, how'd you get Mr. Crew on your phone?"
Wow.
He knew who the
That
fuck
would
it was.
be
Wow.
so
That's
wild.
crazy.
He was saying cruel. He just couldn't say it.
Yeah, he was saying Mr. Cruel.
Was that the guy that put like he would like rape someone, but then put like dishes on people and like china from their china cabinet so that if they moved, he would hear them? Like he'd
I
be
don't
like,
know.
I'm gonna
Oh,
do this in
jeez.
front of like I'm gonna rape your wife in front of you, and I'm gonna lay china, and if any of that moves, I'm gonna kill her. And so the dude would just have to lay there and watch with dishes and shit on his back and teacups while like atrocities were going on.
No, but it's along the same lines because he would always tie up the parents and stuff and be like, "Everything's fine. I'm just gonna, you know." Or the sisters, like Carmine Chan, she was babysitting, so it was her two little sisters. He tied them up and put them in a closet and told them, if you're good and you don't move, then your sister will be fine.
Wow.
This just sounds like low class garbage. Everyone knows that you put the bodies on the china. You don't put the china on the body. Have some decorum.
Exactly.
Isn't it funny that we call it China?
Was that where it usually
Yeah.
came from?
I know if it was from fine China, you'd have fine China from China. You'd be like, what do you want to eat on my China? Like if you
And it
had
was originally
like,
The
bone.
fine
It
China.
was
I
bone
don't say
china.
fine china. I say plates.
It was
Get the
originally made
plates
from
out.
bones.
Just get the plates out.
maybe it's not fine China. I remember it used to be
Oh, it's
passed down in
fine
families.
China.
Uh-huh.
No, it's fine China.
It's just fine China.
It's fine.
China's killed a lot of people. I mean, just genociding with the one child rule,
Mao
but we don't have to
Zedong
go
has the
into
biggest.
that.
Mao Zedong has the biggest body count, according
Which
to.
body count are we
He
talking
got
about?
around.
Just
I
kidding.
know,
There's
stud.
that
Yeah,
guy.
right.
Then there's
I think the mongrel, or what was his name,
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan was
Khan,
actually
yeah.
the biggest body count.
Yeah. Well, although
But in
In both ways.
that's
in
what I
both
I know. I was
mean.
gonna say,
I was
didn't he have
say,
like
That's what I
30,000 children?
mean. Ding,
he
ding,
took
ding.
and added,
Maybe that's why we call it that.
Maybe that's what.
That's
Genghis
the true
Khan.
meaning of double entendre.
Yeah, the body count. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gordy. If you wanted to say something else about the dude, I didn't know what his name was to repeat it with the
Which
biggest
dude?
body count.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mao Zedong.
See how I said yeah and it was a different name? Yep,
Yep. Mhm.
that
Yeah,
one. But then when
I
you said
know.
the
Yep.
second name, I knew what you were talking about.
So I think just communism. That's the biggest killer.
Communism. I don't know. Is it bigger than
No,
like
it's-
banking?
Yeah, really.
oh
Yeah.
shit.
I'm
Yep.
taking notes.
The root of
I
all war.
Is Ed Gein the one who was the murderer during the World's Fairs?
No.
That was H.H.
Who is
Holmes.
that? Oh, this is the one that comes up for me so frequently. H.H. Holmes. If
Oh.
anyone knows anything about H.H. Holmes,
Yeah, the
otherwise
murder
I'll just pull
palace,
it up.
right? Isn't that what they called it?
Yeah, the one in
Yeah.
I was
Chicago.
thinking of the one that's supposed to be like the movie. There's a movie that's kids watch, not Saw. Maybe Saw, but all
Yeah.
those torture things are supposed to be from that palace.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, supposedly he had like weird rooms and stuff built into the hotel or whatever.
Yeah, and like would
Let me
torture
just stop.
people. Like, okay, let me see. I'll show
The
the
staff
screen.
mostly, right? Wasn't it like the people that were hired to be staff?
Mm-hmm. You know, that happened here, kind of here.
He had
There
a
was a-
Bay's house.
There was a ranch here where this dude built a ranch in the elbow of a canyon just on the other side of the highway from my grandparents' ranch. And this dude would hire people from the not when I was there or whatever. This was like in a long time ago, but like 20s, I think. So he would hire ranch hands from the town, and they would come and work, and once they demand their pay too much, he'd string them along as long as they could. Then he'd just kill them, and then burn the bodies, and then go hire somebody else from town. So he did this several times in this place they called it Haunted Corral, and
You know what's? Go ahead. I'll bring it up later.
the Indian on the other side of the ridge, where there's all sorts of ruins in that canyon where he made this little elbow corral ranch, and apparently he did it like a bunch of times. We're not even sure, but they were like, I think they got him for like 9 or something like this when they hung the dude in Phoenix, but they wouldn't have known because it's pretty rural. Like fucking, you can hide a lot of shit in the desert, right? But the Indians smelled the burning bodies. The smell of a human body burning is very different from any other kind of smell. So they dropped a dime on the U.S. Marshals on this dude, and
Does it smell like bacon?
it is a little sweet. Yeah, it kind of smells like pork. Kind of smells like barbecue.
Long pork.
One pork.
Long pork.
Sorry, long
Okay.
pork.
You want to know what's trippy about that though, Gordy? Is that's the that's the area that Don Juan is from in the Carlos Castaneda books, Don Juan Matus, and he was hired as a hand at a place like that. Like he called that one of his biggest trials. It brought him into the path of the Nagual, the sorcery, but he called that his petty tyrant. He had to go back after he
Right.
escaped from that guy.
Mhm.
After he escaped from these freaking crazy people who would hire these ranch hands and freaking keep their pay and like kind of make it impossible for them to leave and then eventually kill them. And he barely escaped because he was shot.
That's right.
Then, yeah. And then he ended up going back. He had to face him again as a sorcerer to face his petty tyrant.
Or petty tyrants, huh?
So it's kind of weird because that is the area that he's from.
Yeah, really weird.
I think it's funny because Andy said that when she thinks of H.H. Holmes, she thinks of him as the greased up shoot guy. And also is like he had a maze house, and it wasn't just workers. He would actually like get people, because it was like during this transient time in America where people were from all over the world, and there wasn't any kind of way, like if you were just showed up from Ireland off the boat and then came to this part of the world because there was a World's Fair and you just disappeared, nobody knew you disappeared. And so it was almost like he
Immigrants.
would just play with people in this house. And I just think it's so crazy, like that people are, I mean, just for any purpose. But this is where I always think of the vampire idea. At like what point of being, if you were on the planet for however many thousands of years, do you, even if you were empathetic, would that rinse away?
Yeah, I would think it would to quite a degree.
Like even if you didn't want to eat blood at first.
Well, yeah, because even like the interview with the vampire folks, Louis ends up being a freaking pretty cold blooded.
Oh, eating rats, living on rats.
In the first book, but he ends up being pretty nonchalant about it 4 books in.
Ed Gein. Another one, like I think the kid killings that just like the John Benet Ramsey, the Natalie Holloway, the Adam Walsh, the like we get these like blanket things that happen in America that change something drastic. Like where it's just like it takes over the zeitgeist.
Have you heard that Adam Walsh connected to Jeffrey Dahmer?
No.
Yeah.
That Jeffrey Dahmer was recorded in the same area as where Adam Walsh went missing. It was some shopping mall, I think. Either was it like Miami or it was somewhere in Florida.
South Florida, yeah. I think like Boca, Fort Lauderdale area. And his head was found in Vero Beach.
That's crazy.
And his father, John Walsh, who runs America's Most Wanted, has a house in Vero Beach. It's just very like, why would you ever build a house where your son's head was found?
Oh,
They
afterwards.
Yeah, they
They
never
built it
found his
after.
body. They only found his head. They never found his body. They only found his head in a canal. And so then, yeah, he went missing from down in South Florida. He had all these ties to mafia and drugs and all this other stuff. And then he's like a crooked kind of guy. Adam goes missing. Him and his wife get plastered all over everything. This is why, like, if you had to ever get a videotape of yourself at Blockbuster Video or get your fingerprint done, it was all from this kid. And he was everywhere. He has a baseball hat. I could pull up his picture and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I seen that kid. And then you could even look at him in that same way and be like, is this person real.com? But I know Megan Walsh, and she lives in Vero as well. And her father, John Walsh, has custody of her children. And so it's just so weird
Yeah,
that
very weird.
Adam Walsh.
Very weird.
Is
Yeah.
Adam Walsh a killer? Or John Walsh? Is John Walsh a killer?
Did he build
That's
the
what
house
I would think, because
on that property or bought?
he bought it after. No. Where his house is like pretty dreamy on the river. It's like it's a mansion.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's a whole different thing. But it's just weird. Like, why would you ever move to the town that your son's head was found?
Maybe it makes him feel closer to him. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems
Maybe.
ritualistic.
Or maybe he cemented the body somewhere in the house. I don't know. There's always a motive.
Oh, yeah. Good swampland. He built his
Mhm.
house on swampland a little bit now that you mention it.
You know? It's
Anyways,
like-
we're not accusing anyone of anything. This is for entertainment purposes only.
In Minecraft.
Entertainment
Yeah.
purposes only. Just like what's his name on his podcast and the Long Island City Killer, Howard Stern.
Howard, not Howard P. Stern, Anna Nicole Smith's killer.
Oh my god.
Different Howard
holy
Stern.
Shit, yeah.
At least her handler. And then there's
Scary
rumors.
character.
This is a Hollywood rumor. This is Hollywood page 6 rumor. That Ray J from Kim Kardashian sex tape fame, or Brandy's little brother fame, or Whitney Houston's coke dealer fame. Some people theorize that Ray J actually gave Whitney a bad batch of whatever, and that's why she died in a bathtub.
Oh shit.
But people say Ray J is the drug dealer to the stars, and that's what some of these celebrities are that we don't even know about, is they're just drug dealers.
There's a lot of shit happening with the celebrities. Apparently, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith were together for the past 7 years, and that whole thing has been a lie. And then the whole thing with Chris Rock slapping Will Smith, not slapping. Wait, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, but it was all because of Tupac, and now Tupac is also in the news because they found his killer or something. But then that, oh my God, there's a whole fucking rabbit hole with these movie stars. That guy who looks like Tupac, who's alive. I forgot his name. The one with the dreads, who's alive right
I don't
now.
know.
I forgot his name, but there's a whole rabbit hole on him and Lisa Left Eye Lopez and how that new Tupac, but it's not really Tupac, but who was really Tupac's daughter is actually Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Fucking crazy. I don't know what to believe, but if you go down this rabbit hole, it makes sense. The whole Tupac fucking rabbit hole.
I don't feel like Lisa Left Eye Lopez could be Tupac's daughter.
Well,
I'm
it's
like just
not
trying
Tupac's daughter. They're friends, but like this new version of
Lisa Left Eye Lopez is a 777 and she's left
Swahili.
eye.
Yeah. Swati, that rapper, that young girl rapper, her name is Swati or something like that, Sweetie or Swati. But that is supposedly Lisa Left Eye Lopez now. Okay, and that her father that's playing her father is actually Tupac, but he's this new guy with dreads, and I forgot his fucking name.
My mind's blown.
Yeah.
I mean, my mind's blown not in a way that I believe it. It's just blown that some of the connections are real. Like way back at the Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith stuff and Tupac stuff, I think there's a chance that Will and Tupac were both homosexual and Jada is a lesbian beard. And so anytime that's about to come out, that's where all the scandal of the affair happened, because then we have to believe they're both straight, and then Will getting up and slapping Chris Rock, we believe that he's straight. It's like that Hollywood thing of like John Travolta having to marry Kelly Preston so that he can, and some actresses like Katie Holmes, no relation to H.H. Holmes, but maybe Katie Holmes. I actually have no idea, so she could be related. She her career was nowhere, and so the best gig she could get was playing Tom Cruise's girlfriend. That was actually a role she took. And she wasn't the only one who auditioned. Penelope Cruz played Tom Cruise's girlfriend. And before that, Nicole Kidman played Tom Cruise's girlfriend. Before that, Mimi Driver played Mini Driver, whatever. But it's Tom Cruise isn't straight. They all know what they're getting into. Like Scientology interviews women to play his girlfriend. And he can't have children. I'll stand by that. He doesn't have kids. That's why Nicole Kidman, she got pregnant, and that's why their marriage had to split up. Anyway, any other killers? Oprah?
Do you guys think that Kevorkian is a killer?
Nope. That's a good question.
Does he count? Do those count as his body count or no?
Who?
Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who works with like assisted suicide,
like a mercy killing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what about like if you ran one of those pods, like in Canada, right? The pods that you can go up to, and then like you just go to sleep and don't wake up. Is that killing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't
or
know
like my old man dog. When I had to put him down, I just fucking murdered that old bitch.
Okay. For me, and I speak for me. I mean,
I fucking murdered Ernie. I should go get his ashes right now and snort him.
Like,
I don't know why I said that. Sorry. Go back, Layla. Sorry. I'm paying
it's
attention.
like I know the loss. I know what it is to lose and like experience death in a family and lose somebody. So for me, I feel like all life is precious. And any way that you look at it and you give it an excuse to just like take it, like no authority, just take it away. I feel like, who am I to do that?
What about bacteria?
Bacteria is bacteria. Hey, so be it.
But
It
it's like,
doesn't.
is that not life? Isn't bacteria life? Like we couldn't just create bacteria on our own.
It's true, but we're different a species than bacteria. You know,
Well,
they're a different species and they have their natural, not even a free will. You can't even call it free will. It's like an order. We are just la di da di, you know, going about our wonderland lifestyle. And I look at all of this and I look at it as all precious. I look at it as all matter, God matter. I look at you, I look at everybody in this room and all these people in the chat room and everyone that I meet and everything that I see created as God matter, as divine. So I don't want to do anything to cause disharmony. I want to see a harmony because there's been tons of disharmony and killing and killing and killing and killing, and all we're getting is a loop, but we're not doing anything different. So maybe if we can go another route and try to see the divinity in everything, the deepest part of me is the deepest part of you, which is that energy source of all. If we can get to that point, I feel like we wouldn't have so much death and so much killing. So that's how I see it.
I agree, but I can also say though that like because Kevorkian wasn't murdering anybody or putting anybody to sleep who didn't want to be or request to be, and I can see like personally, because I say this myself, like if I ever get to an age where I have to wear diapers because I'm shitting myself, I will take a chemical cocktail and go to bed because I ain't gonna make my kids deal with that. Like I've done the whole nursing, and I'm not a nurse, but I've had to help with a family member who had Alzheimer's disease, and that's not quality of life.
Yeah, but
You know, but
I would do it. But like
I
having
know
someone
it
else
was
do
like
it,
2 to 3 years of him just hanging on and not being there, and physically his body just was sustained. It just wanted to keep holding on, but and I just don't think that that's quality of life, and so I think it is a person's choice. I think it should be.
yeah, but you're giving that choice to someone to pull the plug for you instead of you not pulling the plug for yourself.
Well, some people
It's like,
physically can't. They're like, some people have MS so bad or Parkinson's so bad or something where they can't even open their hands anymore because they couldn't even open their hand because everything, all their tendons are so tight. They couldn't even twist a pill bottle if they'd want to swallow them all. Some of us, Alzheimer's does a thing too, where eventually you forget how to swallow.
They do.
jump off
Yeah.
a roof, jump off a bridge.
Some people can't walk.
You can't walk.
Like,
I mean,
that's the whole thing with a lot
but
of the
this
Dr.
is
Kevorkian cases. They're like people that they are so homebound, and it's not like something you can just call like, Dr. Kevorkian, I'm having a bad day.
then you
It's
weren't meant
like
to die.
people
Then
that are
I can't see that.
terminal, and their death is so painful that they don't want to be in the pain anymore.
Because really, we could even talk about hospice here.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I've lived through a few family members that went out through hospice, and there's
Yeah.
a certain, this blew my mind, but there was a certain point when the nurse basically came in and, paraphrasing, was like, make sure you don't give, grandma like all the pills in here, because if you give her all those pills, then she'll probably fall asleep and not wake up. I'm just gonna leave them over here. Just make sure you don't give them all to her, right? Like, she's in a lot of pain, but don't give them all to her. And then would like walk away. And like I was young, but I was old enough to be like, why would she keep saying that? And sure, I mean, but is that killing? Like, if you decide to like give a little extra morphine to grandma and then grandma doesn't wake up, is that a killer?
Well, because I think it happens a lot with hospice because same person that I was talking about with Alzheimer's, his wife was like such a good caretaker. Like she only got 2 hours of sleep at night. And then hospice comes in and they put the medicine on the counter and she decides to look up the active ingredients. And she's like, oh my gosh, if they get enough of this, it kills him. I can't give it to him. I don't care if he is in pain. So she didn't give it to him. So he held on for another year and a half, So I guess to some people they see it as a moral dilemma. But I don't know. I think at some point it's a mercy.
But does killing automatically make it a moral dilemma? Like, is the word killing somehow
For some people.
like a bad, horrible thing, even though sometimes, like, we've all acknowledged a few times when it's almost acceptable.
Yeah.
And I even think, like, certain animals, like you're, hiking along with your yellow retriever, and a hog comes along and twists your yellow retriever all to bits. Your yellow retriever was trying to save your life, but it gets twisted up by this hog, and it is yelping, and you can just see it shredded, and you can kill it. Like, do you put it out of its misery, or do you just let it sit there and yelp and yelp and yelp, and you can see all the blood and you can see all the things? Is it not better? Like, does it not take some kind of courage to kill your best friend and then put that on a human at war? That, like, so many times it happens to people, where a lot of soldiers have had hands of their fellow soldiers grab them and they're like, buddy, kill me, please. Their guts are hanging out. They can see everything. They're dying and it hurts so bad.
Lieutenant
And
Dan.
yeah, so it's like, that idea is like, could it be where, to bring it back to 13 again, of this Judas idea, could somewhere there be a saint in killing your best friend? Like,
Yeah.
does it have to be done?
Like Judas?
Yeah, I think sometimes, if there was a book of Judas, if being the 13th one, if he was the last one to arrive, and we can all think with like a head of like, oh, that's because of everything we know about 13 now. But if a lot of cultures, and if most of the cultures around the world, 13 was the lucky one, what if he was the one to arrive, that he was the only one that, if his best friend came to him and told him this needed to go down, like, no matter what, your bestie comes to you and asks you this, that you also believe is your savior somehow, maybe nobody else could do it.
Mhm.
Well, there is a book, The Gospel of Judas, basically says that exactly, that
Mhm.
that he kind of was given the greatest responsibility of all, in that he caused Jesus to die, but Jesus had to die in order to forgive everyone for their sins. And if Judas wasn't the one to turn him in and he didn't die, then we wouldn't have our sins forgiven, if under that
It had to
particular,
be done,
prescription
yeah.
of religion. So in that case, like, was he a bad killer? Was he a good killer?
And so, like, some uh philosophize that he even fell to his knees and said to my Lord, why have you forsaken me? To him, why are you making me do this to you? I believe in you more than anyone.
Yeah, because they said that they were the closest, actually. The certain texts say that they were, like Judas and Jesus.
I guess I'm like living in a world in my head where I would like to see a world where we don't have poison in our foods, where people get sick, where they're unhealthy to a state where they can't take care of themselves. It's like there's so many elements to the disharmony that causes each scenario for you to kill somebody, whether it's war, whether if it's a sick parent, whether if it's a child in a womb. It's like, for me, it's like, if I were God and I'm facing my children, let's say, for instance, because I believe there's a creator to all this. I don't want to say it in a religious aspect, but I do. But if I were God and I created a world, a heaven for my creation here on earth with plentiful everything, and then we have a disharmony and we're causing chaos within one another, killing one another because of this, that, and making excuses. What I would say to all of you, I do not know you. Like, literally. That's how I would act. But that's how, me as a God, knowing everything that I give so you could live peaceful lives. This is what you're doing? Okay, cool. I got you. That's That's how I feel. Like, I feel life is so precious. Even animals. I'm even contradicting myself. I eat fucking animals, and I feel guilty about it. But that's the thing that makes me feel alive. Like, fruits, plants, whatever, they're alive, and it's such a fucking hard way to answer. Like, I don't want to kill anything divine, but everything is divine in my eyes. So it's
And you know, like a named cow gives more milk.
Mhm.
And so then you wonder if a named cow has better meat.
Mm.
Like, is there some idea?
Yeah.
And then the idea, like, there's so many cultures that believe in honor killing, and they believe in, like, I die for this whole thing and I'm going to Valhalla. Like, if I follow through with this, like, that's my whole, like, so many cultures around the world, their death is like they want it to be at the hands. Like, I even said this when I put my dog down for real. If there was a check mark for real where I could have put him asleep by a grizzly bear attack, I would have let him go like that and been like, yep, let that little bitch go. But then I was like, he probably would have chased it away and I would have had to take him home for another year. But I just feel like sometimes there an honorable killing that you give one hand to another. So like there's certain cases of like somebody might be taken by the enemy and I kill them instead. Like, don't let them fucking torture me for all the information I have. You and I both know. And I know in a perfect world, these are all situations with like, but it's in the world we're in. It's like, I am an anti-gun person. If there was a spell that could take every single gun off the planet, but that isn't the,
Yeah.
like I'm anti-killing if there was a spell that it rained bananas. But
Yeah.
I just feel like in the world that we're actually in, that we know of, as much as we know of to be true, it does seem like there is some ways that killing might be a okay thing. And then I was even thinking, you guys were talking about the deer earlier. And if we never killed deer for meat, and how, like, let's say we did all have gardens and farms, the deers would slowly eat all of our gardens and farms. And so we wouldn't be able to sustain like that. So eventually we have to start killing the deer to regulate them. So because we can't grow enough carrots for my family and the deer.
When the other option is you just build a fence around all of your food, but then you just are slowly watching these deer just like starve to death and die right outside the fence. So do you let that happen? Is that more humane to watch them die slowly of starvation? I mean,
Well, they
But
tried
here's
that
the
in
thing, you guys.
Australia, like rabbit-proof fence.
Well, let me tell you what really happens when the deer population gets out of control. Because I live in the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is like the buggiest state ever, like because it's so green here. And like you could walk out on the lawn and get like ticks all over your legs, which not really so much in town like as when I lived in the country, but like you could walk out in your pasture and you'd look down at your legs and you could have like 200 seed ticks. They look like little tiny black dots all stuck in your legs.
does anyone feel bad about killing those ticks?
Hell no. No, but the point is
Layla,
Sometimes.
would
the
you feel
deer
bad?
population
Sometimes I do.
the deer
Sometimes I
population
do that, and I
is
just let it go. I act like I don't see the bug. But sorry, go ahead.
the deer population is 100% responsible for the overpopulation of ticks. Because when the people are not hunting as much, when hunting is more regulated, whatever, like then all of a sudden the tick population, it's because they're deer ticks.
And here's the other one. So those are all prey animals we're talking about. The other animals, like bears and like
Yep.
wolves, they become immediate natural competitors to us at the top of the food chains we live in. So every single ground animal we might eat, from a squirrel to a rabbit to a deer, they eat those things. So it's like we have to start killing the predators now so that they don't take all the animals away that we eat. And it's like somewhere in history or in this realm did we regulate this shit without big anything, take away any of the big things. Maybe we were just regulators of the realm and killing wasn't a sin. It was just a sin's kind of the same way as a law of like, don't kill gators. Now we have overpopulation of gators, and now we have to have gator killing season. So it's almost like the only reason don't be gay is really a law is because we need our people to breed, so I have more serfs to rule over. The only reason that now killing might be a law is because then you're killing my serfs. You're killing my voters over here. So I don't know. Maybe there's only laws about killing, and even the moral code that goes with it. And even them showing us on TV all these horrible things that they're like, look at these scary things. So we don't go out and kill Bill Gates justly, or not kill Bill Gates. This is for entertainment purposes only. But I don't know. I'm just asking.
I should have been a monk. You know, like those monks
Swept ants out of your
from
way.
Karate Kid 2, you know, who get pissed off at the idea of you even hitting a fucking bug.
A praying mantis, which kills.
Yeah,
The
they
male, I think.
ignored her for days on end. Days on end just for one little bug. And I'm like, wow, that's some powerful shit right there. Why do they live like that? And they're very peaceful beings, apparently. They live one in silence. They have their fun too.
We don't have cameras up there. We only have what Brad Pitt told us.
That's true. That's very true.
Does anyone have anything else for this killer episode?
Praying mantises killed a mate.
Yes, they chopped their heads off and eat it.
And yet
eat
they
it.
said the symbol of peace. Whoa, that's kind of symbolic.
That's witchy.
And
It
the interesting thing about bees and women bees, in the wintertime, the male species of bees are killed, thrown out. Why? Because they're useless after a certain point. So the women just go and gang up on the boy bees and just kill them. And yeah, that's how the story goes. Because they're useless. Not all, but the majority of them are useless. Let me stop. I love men.
They gather the pollen, don't they? Like why women are like busy like making honey and shit. Aren't men like out like, and precise flowers, precise plants. Like they take direct good orders, and they have to fly. Some of them have to take their orders and go so far because the queen has like a precise, like she's so anal with how her honey has to be made, and every single batch that is not grown in a greenhouse, because people always have to correct me with that, is entirely unique, which is pretty friggin' crazy to think about. Milk and honey.
Oh yeah.
Does anyone going to be anywhere this week that they want to talk about? I will just say I was on Paranoid American this week, and I was on One on One podcast this week. And
Who was better?
I had more fun with you. You're my first though. My first, my last, my everything. Yeah, so you can find me there, and I totally did one more that I'll remember in a second. It was a new guy that I hung out with, and he was pretty fun, and it's on YouTube too. And I'm working on my website. You can find that at Project Chaney. And I hung out live with Layla, and I'm working on things with Marisa for goddess stuff that people will be joining me for. Yes. Noise. And she will be coming to hang out with us sometime in November. So what do you guys have to say for yourselves?
Chaney, you'll be proud of me. I started a TikTok account, but I have nothing on it.
How do I follow it?
It is the same as my Instagram, Gordy_TWO_shoes. It has nothing there, but follow it anyway. And I'll start doing that, but follow my Instagram. It's the same thing.
Boom. Anyone? Gentlemen.
I'll let
Ladies
my friend. I'll let my friend Fauci go. All right, I'll let him go.
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok. I mean, I don't post anything on there either. And it's abstract one with 2 B's. And then also I'll be doing Blue Collar Mystics on the 17th. I'm not sure if it's live or not. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
And that's with Bootsy or Owen, and he will come hang out with us soon, hopefully as well. So you can follow
And-
that on YouTube too.
And you can follow me on Instagram. I have 2 accounts. One's a backup, one's my main. It's GodPillAngel33 or GodPillAngel333. And you could also find me on TikTok as well. I might consider actually going on the Spiders tomorrow night just to say hi and, hang out with them. It's been a while. So shout out to the Spiders. What's going on?
And you
And
can find that on YouTube as well. Weaving Spiders Webs.
weaving spiders webs.
There's 2
and-
channels, so make sure you put in the right one.
Yeah, and I think soon Thomas invited me to do a little interview, and I'm nervous as hell, but I'm excited. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. And yeah, little old me, Billy G.
I love it. Thomas, it's Friday the 13th.
And now that all the men are done talking, you can let the women finally have a voice.
I should have said ladies
I'm
first.
sorry.
I
Sorry,
tried
ladies.
to. I said, gentlemen, please, ladies
It's okay.
first.
No, I mean I've lived my entire life like this, always being last, and so I'm
Hillary,
used to it by now.
Hillary, we love you. We love you, Hillary.
But I just want to announce a completely female-created comic. It's an autobiography of Hillary Clinton. It's called FrazzleDripFunhouse.com. It's a truly it's a love letter to B horror movies of the 80s, where the killer would like do some horrific, like over the top gory killing, but then make like a horrible pun about it that makes you laugh, but also you're a little bit disgusted. It's basically that for about 30 pages straight, a one shot. It's well worth the read, and you can check it out at FrazzleDripFunhouse.com, or you can just go to ParanoidAmerican.com and click the link at the very top.
Yes.
I am opening up the link at the very top. And everybody, I was going to do that, but then I got lazy. So ParanoidAmerican.com, and it's all there. Frazzle Drip Funhouse.
Yeah, and you got to see these interesting little
Hunter Biden care pack.
Yeah, I want to buy one. Just
They're coming out. I'll probably
I'm gonna
post
blow it
this
up big.
weekend. So this is just
Super
one.
dope.
This is one of them. They're all going to be different. As you can see, it says right there, every party is different with Hunter Biden.
Yeah,
I feel like that should be sold at like Spencer's Gifts.
for real.
It's
For real.
amazing.
It
It's
is.
amazing.
I would pitch that idea to them, honestly.
I
Hey, do you hear us? We got to tag them. We'll tag them.
I know, it's perfect. Those are all going to
Hey,
sell out
Spence's-
fast. So, yeah. Thank you guys for joining us for another Secret Society of Good Guys.
Get your boost.
You've been amazing. And shout out to Red Bricks. He said hi at the beginning, but I was so far down the chat and I forgot there was a chat at the beginning of the show because we were like so in deep to Friday the 13th shit. And I was so like captivated by the convo that I forgot to give a shout out. So he gave a shout out to Thomas and myself. So Red Bricks everywhere you look.
What up, Red Brick?
So thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week with something a little more monstery, I guess, a little more shapeshifty.
It's gonna be
All right.
fun.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thanks for